Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody all around the world, hello and welcome to another episode of The Watchable with me, your host, Jean-Luc Watch. Let's make some noise. Let's clap it up. Let's get excited. Let's get our week started on this auspicious occasion of monumental proportions, which is every week right here on this show. We got a whole bunch to talk about in the world of boxing, in the world of sports as a whole. We got Tank Davis in a fight with him versus CRUZ, looking like it's coming together more concretely than anybody may have expected. In fact, it's actually better because people are actually excited that he's actually going to be coming back. But is that really the biggest fight he can make in between him and potential rematch with ROACH? Which fight would indeed be the bigger calling card for everybody to come back and say, ooh, Tank is back in the venue? Also, some talk with DEVIN as he had an interview with Max Kellerman and the whole Inside the Ring crew with a bunch of good sound bites as well as potential defensive mechanisms involving him defending his style of fighting, why it's right or why it's wrong. We're going to discuss it right here on this show. As well, we had Jai Patai beating GLANTON to becoming the first ever Zuffa champion in the world of boxing in the iteration of Zuffa in their existence. However, with the whole issues with Zuffa, the IBF, and the status of whether or not he is or isn't still a world champion in the greater landscape of the boxing world, we gotta answer some questions. We are a little bit confused, are we not? Lord know I am. So we're going to be talking about that and much more right here on this show. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for listening. If you haven't already, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Come on. Leave one like. Makes a world of difference for this show, for us to be able to be incredible and phenomenal. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Come join the empire. Be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable right here for your viewing and listening pleasure. All the best stuff you can get from the world of boxing and beyond. Your best source of sports entertainment is right here for you to be able to witness and enjoy and be a part of. You can be a part of it by chatting in the stream. We want to hear your comments, your reactions, your opinions on the whole of the show. So keep on chatting in the comment section, as well as be sure to do the most important thing, which is to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together, all with you and your support. We can make it possible to grow, flourish, and shine and become the greatest show in all of the globe right here on YouTube and on every podcasting or platform imaginable. No question about it. And as well, if you want to support the channel, shameless plug, Cash App, PayPal, links in the description, super chats, super gifts, and stickers, all of which are the like if you can support, would mean the world to me, helps me to pay the bills, and also helps to edify this show. No question about it. As you can see, we cleared the background a little bit. Hey. Looks a little bit brighter, looks a little bit more serene, has a bit of a different pop to it. We took off the New Year's stuff and all that stuff, kept it up till March 1 to test out the difference in appeal. And now we got the clean white background. Hey, open for sponsors, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If anybody wants to go and throw us a bag, hey, they can come right up there. But either way, hopefully you like the aesthetic. Hopefully it feels a little bit energetic up here. It's a nice, clean feeling, a nice, serene level of atmosphere inside the room for me, at least. Hopefully you still get the energy and excitement all through the screen. But I'm liking the setup. I'm liking how I look. My cut's still fresh, and we got a whole host of stuff in boxing and beyond that we got to cover. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to do what we do best, which is step into the ring. Yes, sir. Come on, let's get it started. Ring the bell. It's time to talk fights, and it's time to talk sports as a whole with you all on today. We got people in the chat already saying hi to the world. How you doing, Al Booga? What's good with you? Thanks for tuning in. Burr, I need a Burr. Thank you for tuning in. What's up with you as well? Appreciate you joining in on the live. Yo, what they got a new person in the chat. How do you say it? Oh gosh, I'm not learning to say this. Is it Sizik? Sizich? I think. I'm gonna call you CZ just for the second time. We're gonna get it right, remember? But I'm gonna call you CZ5 and for the second time. That's actually a really good nickname. I'm not gonna lie. But how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning into the show. Well, I appreciate you being here. I'm so happy that you're joining on the live, whether you're from outer space, overseas, across the globe, or right here in the States. We want everybody to show up and show out and be a part of the nation of conversation. That is our show on the Watch. But we got a lot to delve into in a short amount of time to do. So without further ado, hey, let's do what we do best. And we need to first talk about the likes of Tank Davis coming back against CRUZ. Yes, indeed, it's looking like it's getting confirmed more and more every day as further and further, at least reported by Mike Coppinger himself. Talks have come in, stuff has come about, and it seems like that fight that we initially said was in the discussion stages is now further along in type of conversation, and looks like it will eventually lead into a full-blown fight outright. And again, I'm going to show you the tweet from my commentator himself so you can get the proof of exactly what's going on. But the reason why I bring it up is because there's a lot of excitement surrounding, well, you can call it excitement, you can call it animosity, you can call it hate, you can call it just pure interest, you can call it chaos for all I care. All I know is he's back, and now everybody is starting to percolate in the realm of conversation. Devin Haney's talking about him. Ryan Garcia had something to say about him. I think over the course of last week, I believe, a couple of fighters, big and small, and everybody around the boxing club has started to rev up the engine of interest yet again around the Tank train that used to be the biggest thing in the sport right now. It still is one of the biggest in the sport. But with him coming back and looking like CRUZ is the man to face, well, that brings up a better question, or multiplicity of questions involving Gervonta Davis at his new division of 140 pounds. Notice, new division of 140 pounds. One of the biggest attractions about Tank was the fact that he wasn't fighting at 140 in the entire, or since the Frank Martin fight. And subsequently, when everybody else was at 140, like with Devin Haney, Tio, and others, he did not join the fray or the foray of competition. Even the work to Devin Haney himself has something to say about the fact that Tank reportedly, quote unquote, ducked him when he was at Muda at 140, and he said, and fans said, that he was too small to fight Devin Haney up there, and now he's up there. My goodness. And then with the fact of him fighting the likes of what's his name? Mario Barrios earlier at 140 pounds. He had a lot of questions. And now he's back at the fray where he said it was too small with it. Let me go and show you the tweet from Mike Coppinger himself, well, from the Ring Magazine. Reported by Mike Coppinger. Hey, it's real. It's real. Talks are more than revving up. It looks like it's getting to a point where negotiations are getting ready to come afoot, and legitimately, they's getting ready to fight. Oh, yes, indeed. And so because of that, and because of this, the question, again, in the title of which fight is bigger does come into account, because now we got to start looking at from the fans' perspective, what would they want more? And this is the road for Tank coming back. Is this fight bigger than the Lamont Roach fight? And if it's not, that could lead to a better inclination that we may get the Lamont Roach fight after all. Because again, as we've seen with Tank before, he's chasing the biggest bag that he can for every fight. And if that's the case, and if you say that this ain't bigger than Lamont Roach, then that means that the road of trajectory, rather the golden road of return for Tank, would in fact go through both of them. And if that's the case, hey man, I'm excited for that. Oh yes, I'm excited for that. I'm very excited for that if that is the case. But I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on it as well. Let me go on and read your chat real quick. Tank well, hold on. Okay, there we go. Tank doing what Tank do, doing a fight no one asked for. And see, this is a very good, this is part of the dilemma of this conversation with Tank fighting CRUZ. I'll watch, but I don't think I'll be paying. I'll watch, but I don't think I'll be paying for this one. Got to see the undercard lineup, and yeah, that's true. Let's be completely honest. The undercard of this fight is going to be a big deal from the perspective of the sellability of Tank in his return. Understand? And yes, I'm reusing the titles that we had earlier in the week because it applies. Okay, it applies. Okay, I'm not lazy. It applies. It applies to what we're talking about. That's why I didn't change the whole title thumbnail thing. It applies. I'm not trying to be okay. We're trying to work efficient here, but the people. This delves into the conversation that we had in the title. Which fight would be a bigger fight? What fight are fans actually invested in? Because over the course of social media, throughout the weekend, and then throughout the weeks, and when this fight was being talked about, the return was hyped up, but I was a little bit confused as to the pulse of the public. Did people want to see this? Did people care that it was Eastside CRUZ, right? Has the luster of this rematch that, yes, people did call for, even I did call for, has the luster worn off since Isak lost his title? And is this a worthy challenger anymore in the eyes of the public eye that Tank is facing? Even though, yes, Tank already beat him the first time, has the shine of competitiveness when it comes to these two fighting, has it waned in the public investment? And it seems like it has. It really does seem like it has. It's a sobering thought, genuinely, because looking at it from this point of view, Tank. And this was the concern with a lot of these fights not happening. Tank, when we had him in the midst of everybody else, everybody was oh so gung-ho about what can we see him do against the rest of the world. And now, a lot of those matchups are less, I don't want to say less threatening, but they're less incentivized for the public, for people to watch, because of how everybody's career, since not getting that fight, has moved through. From the perspective of how everybody else has gone about making their career. Ryan Garcia, since his loss, now is a world champion. Now we got a fight with Devin Haney that we all want to see as the big time rematch. We got Mario Barrios, since his fight with Tank, has become a champion, lost to Ryan Garcia. Shakur Stevenson fought Teofimo Lopez and beat him. Now Tank versus Teo. It's a fight that we still want to see, but for some, they may see that shine as kind of losing its luster a tad, because now we've seen everybody else against everybody else. And for some, even though I don't think it should be the case, for some people in the boxing world, if you lose, well, we don't care about you nearly as much. Now, it shouldn't be that much of a hammer for everybody just to throw somebody away. I'm not saying that now. It shouldn't be that drastic of an issue. But it is an issue nonetheless that it causes for fights that used to be a fever pitch to now go and kind of lull in the action. Or rather, lull in the investment. And I feel like that's where we're getting with this Eastside CRUZ fight. Because the amount of fights, wars, and competitions, and we have to be real, losses that we've seen Eastside CRUZ in. Not to discredit him as a fighter, but this is too late from the perspective of the fever pitch interest. And now people like Al Booger and like others around, not just my channel, but in the boxing world, are saying, I ain't paying for that. You kidding me? You think I'm wasting potentially $79.99, $89.99, shoot, even $59.99 to watch a Tank fight against somebody who, let's be, for it seems like for a lot of people, isn't really as much of a competitive affair as many would have suggested a couple of years ago in a rematch at a higher division. We're like, man, Lord, it's kind of frustrating. And it speaks to my point that I know that fight with Lamont Roach is the bigger fight. If anything, that fight with Lamont Roach should have been the fight that he's returning to. It should have. in my estimation. Reason being, one thing with Eastside CRUZ and Tank beat him without reproach with a broke hand in their first fight. It was very competitive. And yes, I said it. I would love to see that fight happen again. And I think that Isak did enough that if he gets into a position, he deserves a rematch for Tank. Because that fight was it was competitive, legitimate. I wouldn't mind seeing it. However, I still felt that Tank beat him fair and square. That ain't the case with Lamont Roach. You got something to prove in all totality against Lamont. There's no, forget just the fan interest, which again, we're going to touch on. It's more than that. But straight up with the facts of the fight, you should have lost that fight. Your return should have been against that brother that beat you. Though officially, it was a draw. It should be. Especially after Lamont Roach fought and had Eastside CRUZ fight to a draw. If I'm Tank, that should have been the first fight that was on my mind of if I do return, that's the guy I'm going after. Because I was in your vicinity, the biggest monetary valued fight that you could make at that point in time that wasn't Shakur, T.O., Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. Outside of those five. And it was a surprise it was so competitive, hence why the rematch was so anticipated. If that fight was the first fight announced, not only would it have made monetary sense, but also you have more to prove against Lamont than anybody else. We wouldn't need as much of a sentiment like with Al Booger saying, I got to see the undercard, which is completely understandable because we would be even more invested in just the main event alone without needing an incredibly stacked card to go and say, we need to take time out of our night to go and watch this fight. Now, granted, it still needs to be a great card regardless of who's on the main event. But I'm not going to lie, the main event can sometimes overwhelm the rest of the card to the point that even if it's lackluster, people say, you know what? I'll deal with it. Why? Because we're getting the fight that I want to see ultimately. This would have been one of those instances. And that fight, monetarily, would have been bigger. Would have been better. And it would have made more sense. From the perspective of the immediate need to prove a point, as well as with the storyline, with the beef, with the fan interest, with the already, I guarantee you, people will put money aside. If we even heard that they were having talks with each other, it would happen. Not diminishing that this fight with Eastside CRUZ isn't a fight that, hey, cool, you're getting your get back. Fine. You're giving somebody who we said should have gotten another shot at a higher division. Great. I'll be clear. He's moving up, which I never thought he would ever do again. And I'm actually impressed that he actually is taking this jump. Genuinely. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm being completely honest. I never thought he would actually take this type of jump up in divisions. Yet he actively is. That's the one thing I can say that was a huge detraction. Hey, you should have already been at 140. Well, now you're at 140. I don't got to say you should have, could have, would have. You are there now. Appreciate what we got, at least in the moment in time. Y'all have heard me be hard on Tank, be demonstrative against Tank from the standpoint of criticism. Fair criticism, but criticism nonetheless. I'm not above giving this man the worth of deserved praise and adoration when he does something that should have been done a long time ago, but you got it done now. And there's still iron that is hot. Or, excuse me, the iron is still hot at this division. Great. Love it. Doesn't change the fact that this fight in of itself is starting to sour very quickly on the fans as to their invested interest. I'm not saying it's a bad fight, but I'm also saying wasn't the fight. The fight, at least for the immediate return, would have been Lamont. But if he's tracking the money trail, this will lead. If he says he wants to shut up everybody, we're going to prove to the world that we are who we say that we are, then it could be that very thing of Isak, Tank, and then, Isak, Roach. Then after that, maybe a world title. Ooh, maybe. We can hope. We can hope. At least we can. At least we can dream. I'll say that. At least we can dream in the immediate. But let me see what you all have to say on the list. Look, if you remember, they announced the Roach rematch and had a date for the rematch. They did. Remember, I did cover it. I was excited for it. We were all ready for that thing to go through. And then again, the whole Jake Paul incident happened. And then everything just blew up in smoke. Everybody went up and on. I remember distinctly. I remember very distinctly. Exactly. I got a lot of coffee in my cup. Hold on. We're trying not to spill my coffee on my mic. But trust me, I remember. They were supposed to fight. They were. And they should have rekindled those talks. That's the only thing I wish would have happened at the immediate site at 140. Let me see. Then Tank put out a 180. Then Tank put a 180, and he started talking trash to Roach on social media. Yep, he did. Is he going up to 140 because he's 31 and can't comfortably make 135? Especially after being out the ring so long and outside the ring issues. So there's two ways to look at this. Is Tank getting to the point that his body is morphing? Maybe. 31, with ring rust, with being out for a year, with everything outside of boxing being his MO at this point in time, legal court cases, almost going to jail, domestic violence disputes, and whatnot, allegedly, to cover my behind, allegedly. But all of this detracted from in-ring competition. Completely understandable. However, with that non-linear focus on just the boxing world, yeah, it could have been his body has changed. It could have been he gotta go to 140 because he can't get down to 135. It could be that he's finally outgrown the very division that he said, you know what, this is where I'm supposed to be. Very well may be. Mind you, look at what you said. He's 31 years old. Understand, Boots is 29, 30. Anyways, 31. Guess what all of them are doing right now or getting ready to do right now? They're getting ready to move up. They're getting ready to, this is about the framework of age where you start to morph differently into a different field of body. And you turn into more or less more natural to where you're supposed to be, because now your body's starting to reject being able to make certain weights. As in, it can't cut or keep the same shape. And it's mature. You're always maturing in some way, shape, or form, for good or for bad, physically. This could be the case that, yeah, Tank, you are good at the division. You're still in your prime, but you can't make this weight in your physical prime anymore. Because now your body's changed and it's bigger. It retains weight differently, it retains water differently, everything's different, hypothetically. And it's following the same trajectory. You could have been up here a long time ago, but you know what? You were blessed to be able to keep on what you had. Now, can't do that anymore, and you got to fight at 140. Great. And so since that's the case, well, you got to jump into the deep end whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. That's option number one. Option number two could be, and it's a very out there type of claim, at least coming from me. Option two, outside of the body maturing as it does naturally, the brother could actually be saying, you know what, I ain't got long in the sport, so we got to at least make an attempt to leave behind a legacy. We have to at least try. And so at this point, I can't go back down to the Jake Paul type of situation. I can't fight below the perceived talent of Lamont Roach when I initially made the fight. From the perspective of bringing up somebody from 130. Can't do that again, most likely, unless it's O'Shaquie Foster, and he ain't moving up no time soon, seemingly, because he got his own issues to deal with, like with potentially Emmanuel Navarrete on the come up, even amongst his own division. So because of that, well, if I want the money, and if I want to still be able to keep my shine, we have to go to 140. Because Shakur ain't at 135, Keyshawn Davis ain't at 135, Teofimo Lopez ain't at 135, Ryan Garcia ain't at 135. Most of the big people at 135 have left. Shakur wanted to come back, but now without him having the WBC championship because of the fact that they were charging $120,000 for him to keep a belt that wasn't even on the line for it. And we're going to play that clip about what Shakur said to Carmelo Anthony on their podcast as to why that whole belt dispute took place. He ain't coming back down to 135 either. Almost assuredly. Because why would you? Yeah, sure, to fight Abdullah Basin, maybe. But, like, it's like, what? There's no point. So there's no more. All the big competition is up here. Every single one of your rivals and or even lowest common denominator of competitive fire is above you now. And you got to go get them. Especially with the lambasting of essentially ire that the public eye has been giving them over the course of nearly a year for a multiplicity of things. I mean, just left, right, and center. We were seeing everybody turn on this, but you can't go nowhere but literally up. And I think they see that. I hope that that's why. Because if so, it makes a great opportunity for a big time fight on a constant basis, which I love absolutely. Let me see a legendary Super Saiyan. How you doing? What's going on with you, Jackson? Thank you for tuning in. We're so happy that you're here with us on today. Salute to you, absolutely. Al Booger, he should put hands all over Pitbull this time around. We'll see. He should. I'm picking him with two fully healthy hands. He should be able to handle Eastside CRUZ relatively easily. Should. Now, that doesn't mean that he will. It could be a repeat of the first time that they fought. It could be. Or it could not be. But like you say, we will have to see. And we're going to talk about that fight a little bit more. Did Keyshawn Davis officially move up to 147? Well, he actually posted about this over the course of, I believe it was social media. And if I am reading this correctly, let me find the tweet real quick. If I'm reading this correctly, I believe. Yep, here we go. If I'm reading this correctly, I believe this coupled with, I think there was a report coming from either Dan Raphael or Mike Coppinger also piggybacking from this quote that yes, this is going to be at 140, or excuse me, at 147. But he says, per Ring Magazine, come on, where's this thing? Hold on, where's it? There we go. Okay, just trying to transition over. Perfect Magazine said, I definitely got a response and I definitely got a date too. I'm coming back sooner than y'all think. This is in terms of Keyshawn Davis involving fight negotiations that he's trying, not even trying, that he's confident that he's going to be making it happen since he's not fighting Devin Haney. It looks to be. He's still going to stay at 147. And he's going to look to make a big splash very quickly to put him in line for that Devin Haney fight if he can get it. Now, again, I can't remember if it was Dan Raphael or Mike Coppinger, but I think one of them said in reference to, or one of them posted in reference to Keyshawn Davis that he is officially going up to welterweight. And so that's why I use this quote as well as this conversation, or in this conversation, as to say, yeah, I think he's moving up there officially. I believe. And I'll keep checking while I'm talking just to be on the safe side to make sure. But I believe, yes, he is moving up to welterweight. And so that with Brian Norman, with Jen Sasaki, with Devin Haney, The world is his oyster. With Ryan Garcia, the world is his oyster in that regard of, I got a bunch of different moves I can make on a day-to-day basis that from the standpoint of making a big event worthwhile for the public eye. And if that's the case, great. Phenomenal. I dare say, well, hold on, wait a minute, hold on a second. Let me think about something. Okay. I'm gonna fact check the welterweight thing to make sure. Like I said, I'm looking it up right now to make sure what I believe I saw about Keyshawn was true. For the sake of making sure I got my stuff covered, I'll say allegedly it's true. He's going up to welterweight. Now, with Tank Davis moving to 140, seemingly officially, unless these talks with Isaac Cruz go awry and completely off the rails, that may be the one thing that would keep him down here at 147. That may be the one thing that would keep him down there at 147. Excuse me, keep him from 147. My apologies. That may be the one thing. That might be the one thing that would keep him from moving up to 147. Because Tank is here. And he has been looking for that Tank fight very fervently before he was looking to fight Devin Haney at 147. This was the other end of that spectrum of who I want to face in the ring when he was at 135. When he was going to get a title against De Los Santos, and we were all excited that we could see a unification between Keyshawn Davis and Tank. Tank. Wherever he went, in New York, Las Vegas, Arizona, I don't care. It would have been a huge event. So if I'm wrong and he isn't moving up to 147, most likely I could imagine it would be because of this. It would be because of this that he's staying down. And at least to me. Let me see. Keyshawn versus Stormy Norman. Yeah, look now. That would be a great fight. That would be a great fight. Now, granted, Norman just started his own promotional company, which, again, congratulations to him. Very big congratulations to Brian Norman Jr. for starting his own promotional company. However, with that being an understood case, the issue is, and how do you say? I don't want to be like, I don't want to see fighters be able to achieve and grow and flourish and be different. But at the same time, the focus of Norman's career, since his fight with Devin Haney, I would think should be focused on you getting better. And again, he's got a new trainer. He's working in the gym, absolutely. But we've seen getting a promotion, running a promotion, being even just a name of promotion can take away a lot of stuff from you being able to be the fighter that you want to be. Will this backfire? In terms of his, I think it's called old school promotions. I think is what it's called. It's supposed to be a identity in a promotion that we want throwback fighters that fought like the 90s, the 80s, the 70s that are just about getting work and giving work out. I hope it works. I do. But again, we just question how exactly, or if exactly, it could impede on his progress to elevate as a fighter in his own right. But if it doesn't, Keyshawn Davis versus Brian Norman Jr. is a very interesting fight to have happen. Now, if I'm picking in that fight as of this moment, I'm picking Keyshawn Davis. If they fought against each other at 147. At 147, I'm picking Keyshawn Davis to win. I'll just be completely on the up and up. I'm picking Keyshawn Davis to win. And it's not because I'm trying to say that Norman can't fight. No. He can't. He can't. Absolutely he can't. But what does need to be understood, the polish of Norman's technique and offense, while again it's very destructive, what got exposed from Devin Haney is the same stuff that Keyshawn Davis can also expose. Now, in a more violent way. Rather than just, again, jab, move, and clinch up. What you're going to talk about Devin Haney is clinching. And again, his defense of sorts. But it can get dangerous in there for Brian Norman if he's not careful. Because we've seen now there's a gap that he's got to fill. And even the perceived likes of Keyshawn coming up to his division could be a repeat of a one-sided affair. Brian Norman doesn't have his wits about him, doesn't have his evolution successfully incurred on his abilities. If that don't happen, it can be bad. Let me see. Looks like B. Norman's working with Ronnie Shields. Love that. Yes, he is. He is. And Ronnie Shields, a phenomenal trainer. And he's working in the gym with him. Like I said, he got away from his father. Let go of his father as his coach and trainer. Got with somebody else that should help to pull the best abilities out of Brian Norman Jr. that got exposed from the deficiencies when he was fighting against Devin Haney. So that can be phenomenal. That can be great. That can be stupendous. And again, a bigger threat to the rest of 147. Outside of Devin Haney, this could be a very dangerous move that the rest of the division, who already looked at him as a monstrous boogeyman, might have to deal with a new kind of beast. And if that's the case, great. I love it. I can't wait to see it. That's even more exciting. That adds even more investment in the trajectory of where all these fights can go at any given point in time. It's the truth. It's incredible. Shoot, I dare say we could see, if we see Tank continue to move up, potentially exponentially. Hey, maybe that's a fight that happens down the line. Who knows? Norman versus Tank. That would be something fun to see. Or at least just something fun to think about. Not saying it's going to happen. Be clear. Not saying it's going to happen. Just saying it's something that could be a very interesting dilemma. Or a very interesting sect of situation that could occur. Which, hey, I'm down for. Regardless of which, Ronnie Shields should be able to help him. And if he does, beautiful. Makes the 147-pound division even more competitive and puts him back in a potential position to become a champion yet again. And right the wrongs that he had against Devin Haney, which hopefully he will be able to do down the line. But again, we're going to find out and see how stuff unfolds as we continue to follow the sport and its essentially and its emergence, not emergence. Follow the sport and its essentially pages as they turn throughout the days and weeks of this show. Now, also, as we're talking about Devin Haney, one of the topics of this discussion is, again, kind of flowing and ebbing and moving through the world of competition in the boxing landscape. Devin Haney had a lot to say involving not just the rest of the 147-pound division, but also Shakur Stevenson and even Tank Davis, as he was on the Ring Magazine show, what is it called, Inside the Ring, with Max Kellerman and all of them. Since he was a host that was filling in that was Shady McCoy. I can't remember who it was. Doesn't matter. Regardless of which, he had a lot to say. A lot to say in regards to the world of boxing as a whole. A lot of stuff in particular involving Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson as a talent, Tank as an underachiever. And I think also he has something else involving comparing his wins against Brian Norman versus Shakur's win against Teal. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of clips that we're going to be playing. There's a lot of topics we're going to be discussing. There's a lot of action. In fact, let me make sure I even got the thumbnail correct so we can, not the thumbnail, excuse me. Let me make sure I actually have the title cards. We're going to be moving through this stuff, real quick. Well, not real quick. We're going to be moving through this stuff in very. You know what? We'll just make it simple. Talk, and there we go. There we go. There we go. Devin Haney. Devin Haney talking debate. Make it simple. We're going to do one accord. Everybody's talking about the same thing at the same. That's what we're going to, yeah. There we go. Easy simplicity. I'm telling you, efficiency is the key when it comes to us on this show. This covers everything. Oh, yes, this right here, this covers everything. We can talk about it without having to go through different topics or different title cards. We can all condense it right here. But let me go on and play this clip of what Tank had to say on a lot of the boxing world, starting with his sentiments against the likes of Gervonta Tank Davis and his response to Tank, or rather his evaluations of Tank being, in his words, an underachiever. Give it a play. It won't play. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, go. Thank gosh. There we go. Okay. Now we're cooking with grease. Let me play it for you all. Make sure y'all can see it. Y'all can see it. And here we go. Devin Haney calls Tank an underachiever, and here is his reason why.
Gervonta Davis, I think that he's a really good fighter. I think that he's an underachiever. I think that he has so much talent. I think that his outside issues is stopping him from reaching his full potential, and him just not wanting to test himself against the best fighters in the world. There's a guy like Pitbull CRUZ. It's just a fight that no one asked for. Gervonta Davis, I think that he's a
Now, I wish they didn't cut off that clip, because there was more to that statement I thought was going to be played in that clip. But regardless to which, again, crazy enough, saying some of the same sentiments that we were saying. Tank underachiever. Tank doesn't want to fight the best. Yada, yada, all that stuff you heard before. Now, what's interesting is, on a public forum, from people that are sitting at the top, they're talking about Tank on a multiplicity of ways. In the same way that we have people like David Benavidez talking about Canelo. From the perspective, you know the drama, you know the beef between them two. You won't fight me this, that, and the third every chance he gets. When he gets asked about it, he goes, goes in on a kill saying, you ain't gonna do this, that, the third. Now we're getting other people, Devin Haney and others alike, also saying it's about Tank. Interesting to say the least, this kind of, again, shield of invincibility starting to crumble and fall a little bit from the perspective of Tank and his own predicament of essentially top shelf level acumen and talent. And sadly, I agree, and I've been saying that for a while. Though Tank can easily switch that flip and make it so it's not the case. But even still, it's that's all I can say. Ish is what I can say from the standpoint of what's going on. But even still, more stuff involving Devin Haney. Devin Haney had said in terms of with Shakur and Tio, when comparing their performances, people were and still are giving Devin Haney grief for the fact that he wasn't able to stop the likes of Brian Norman Jr., as well as a couple of the fights that people feel he should have been able to stop. We're hearing that debate, hearing that dispute. I even said, hey, he's over here in the last half of the fight. The brother took his foot off the gas. He just tried to clinch and hold and do all this stuff. But in response, we see Devin Haney to that type of detraction talk about how he himself, when comparing it to what Shakur did to Tio, why aren't y'all giving Shakur the same smoke as me when he didn't knock his guy out either? And y'all are only jumping on me for not getting people out of there, but you got somebody else in terms of Shakur ain't doing the same thing in his own right. And I'll let him say it for yourself right here on the show.
So how good can we say he really is? I'm not saying that. I don't know.
That's the wrong clip. I'm sorry. That's the second clip. That goes into the clip that I was going to play right here. Here we go.
Since we're talking about
even if it involves risk,
do you think that?
There we go. Now, okay, he had to give it and get. There we go. Now y'all can see it. Y'all can hear it. So let me let you see what Devin Haney had to say.
Since we're talking about
even if it involves risk,
do you think that Shakur could have stepped on the gas against Tio?
Maybe he could have gotten him out of there. Maybe, yeah.
But did he?
I would, but it didn't fall off. You're right. It didn't go up, but it never fell off.
I think that Tio was more ready to be stopped and ready to give up than Norman was.
Interesting, guys. The floor is yours. I know I've been monopolizing.
Since we're talking about
even if it involves risk.
Now,
do you think
again, this goes into the other conversation and this other clip when he's talking about performance versus performance that Shakur had when he compared Shakur's performances also to De Los Santos, when it talks about being born fighters and clinching, hugging, and all that stuff, and involving his own style as a boxer.
So how good can we say he really is? I'm not saying that. I don't know.
Well,
He has some says he has twitchies.
Yeah, and we've seen him beat we've seen him beat good fighters.
Is he more twitchy?
He stops down.
Oh wait, no, that's wrong. I'm sorry. I think that's the wrong clip. Let me skip ahead. It might be.
Yeah.
Oh, we got someone cursing in the fourth chair now, Max.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's the wrong clip. I apologize. Forget that. Forget this clip. Forget this clip right here. This clip, the one with De Los Santos, that means nothing. I'm sorry. That was a completely different conversation I was trying to have, or I was trying to see if I could have, but not. That's not the case. This is the clip. The tie-up clip, the clinching clip involving with Devin Haney.
I'm up certain number of rounds and I tie you up. Tough. A lot of fighters have done that, right?
Well, I just don't want to run that tie-up narrative because
you had something to do with that.
That is not. No, that was what he was doing. I think that because he
was hurt early.
Yes, because he was hurt.
Okay,
early.
but so
Don't forget, you picked Brian Norman, Devin. Don't let him off the hook.
Yes,
I did.
sure.
That's
He
true.
did
I absolutely did. And I saw the way you looked against Ramirez. Of course I was going to pick.
But not only you, a lot more other people. I was an underdog.
But I wouldn't have picked him had it been you before the Ramirez fight. Once I saw the Ramirez fight,
maybe I just tricked you guys.
Yeah, I'm up certain number of rounds,
and so all of this again is part of the reason why I played in the clip Devin Haney's defense, not just in perspective of his actual defensive acumen, but defense from the perspective of him playing defensive against the likes of the criticisms against him when comparing him to Shakur, which is the fight that people are talking about we would love to see take place, as well as going into and kind of saying what the difference is between Devin and Shakur as boxers in its own right in totality. But let me see, Devin and Shakur could have stepped on the gas. They're also both pure boxers. I don't get why these guys expect Haney and Shakur to jump out of character. And I get it. And you're right. And even they even used another defensive fighter in Pernell Whitaker and respond as a kind of, I don't want to say a comparison, but as another example of the type of fighters who they might not get somebody out of there, but they were great nonetheless. They do that later on in that whole segment and clips and interviews if you go watch the full thing. But even still, we shouldn't, the people on the panel, as well as the fans, shouldn't expect Devin or Shakur to get out of character. But what I am getting at when it comes to Devin Haney has been playing a lot of defensive stuff involving critiques against his performances due to the fact that, one, he got the job done. Two, still a champion. He's on the poundless. Three, the way that he does it, people just don't see him as being able to be exciting. Perfectly fine. A lot of those same criticisms were held against Shakur, but what is the difference is the fact of exactly what Max Kellerman said. And what I've been trying to say when it comes to the issues with Devin Haney from the public view, you play it safe to the point that you compromise your own ability to box in full totality in order to secure the win. Shakur, like what he did against T.O., versus what we saw Devin Haney do against Brian Norman, it did not fall off from the complete performance, even though he didn't get the stoppage. The stoppage ain't everything. It's not. But we can tell when there's a drop-off in you trying to be the best that you can be in order to make something happen for a win. And with Devin Haney, sadly, we've seen that more often. We have. And also, let me see, Oscar De La Hoya versus Devin Haney, who wins? De La Hoya. De La Hoya, if it's prime, yeah, De La Hoya. De La Hoya 147. Yeah, no, Devin Haney ain't beating that. He's way, mind you, we're still saying that Oscar De La Hoya could have beaten Floyd Mayweather when they fought against each other, and he should have gotten a rematch when they fought against each other. That's how good that fight was, or that's how, this was an older Oscar De La Hoya, mind you, I believe. An older Oscar De La Hoya fighting Floyd. And we're saying that fight, Floyd never gave him a rematch because of how tough that fight was. So I'm telling you, no. If it's Oscar full powers at 147 or even at 140, no, he doesn't beat that. He can't. He doesn't beat that. That is a Oscar's like he's got size. He had legit pop, and was one of the fastest fighters of his era at that point in time. Head speed as well as from straight up like moving around. And see, Bird, you brought it. And he also was able to fight switching hands, going both ways. And so, like, wherever you moved, he could switch to you to still cut you off and catch you. And he could box. And his hands were quick, real quick. Quick to the point that even the best defensive fighters had trouble with him, whether he was old or young. You can talk about what you want to see. He still got that sharp hands today. Crazy enough, if you see him doing, if you saw him, what was it, a couple months ago, just doing shadow boxing. Like but hey, he still got some snap to him. He still got some snap to him, man. I'm dead serious. So yeah, no, I'm definitely picking De La Hoya against Devin Haney at 147 if I'm doing it. But let me see. What's good with you, John? Look, hey, Joe Bud, what's going on with you? Crawford, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Good to see you. I just woke up and saw the whole, yeah, we live. We having a whole bunch of fun. We talking about Devin Haney and the difference between his performances against Brian Norman versus Shakur's performance against Tio, and why we have detractions against Norman and Devin, and not Tio versus Shakur. Let me see, but let me see. I don't know. He could do it. He could do it. He didn't do it in terms of Al Booker switch hitting. He didn't do it like Marvin Hagler or Terrence Crawford today, but he could. He could. All right, he didn't pull it out every all the time, but he could do it. I will say that he could do it. For me watching at least. But let me go on through and make sure I can keep on reading the rest of you all's chat before I delve back into the topic of discussion. You remind me of him once. You reminded me of him once you met Sweepy. Yeah, like and man, dang it, man, I'm still upset. I'm still upset that Butter's gone. I'm still mad Sweepy gone. Man, imagine him being able to train some of these cats today or giving his wisdom. Would have been phenomenal. Again, rest in peace to Sweepy Whitaker. Man, one of the greatest defensive fighters and just straight up outright fighters that we've seen in the history of boxing. God, hurts me to this day. But even still, when it came to Shakur versus Devin, their respective performances, and why one gets flack and one doesn't. Devin gets flack, Shakur doesn't, because Devin didn't knock him out. The knockout isn't everything. Max Kellerman said it best, and I've been saying that for a while. Devin Haney, when we say take his foot off the gas, we mean that you don't fight up to the fullest potential of what you can be. I said the same thing about Shakur Stevenson, and I was upset that he was doing that against the likes of De Los Santos. Shoot, I said that against Archie Maratunian, and he could have gotten Archie Maratunian out of there if he had fought him in the same way, or if he had just kept the same stable performance. He could have had a better shot at stopping Maratunian. But he took his foot off the gas. Devin Haney, in their most recent fights, was vastly more egregious in his performance than Shakur, one, because of the talent level, which, again, I'm not disrespecting. Devin Haney handled his business and Shakur handled his. I'm saying that in the way that they fought, it wasn't the same. One was objectively better than the other, and it was Shakur Stevenson. And it's because he stayed the same of the dominance that he did. You saw the starting rounds, you saw him elevate, and once he got full control, he didn't just sit and, okay, I just got to keep my lead. He kept fighting to build upon it. That's what I'm saying. And when it came to Devin Haney, he didn't. I want you, in fact, let me show this right here. Where's this at? I'm going to show you this right here. If you want to go through exactly why Devin Haney is getting so much flack for when we're comparing the respective performances that each of them have had. And Lord willing, I do hope I can find the video, because somebody essentially put it on social media and did an entire compilation. But there, when it came to Devin Haney versus Brian Norman, and sadly I can't find it at the moment, but you can find it on Twitter right now. I guarantee you, if you look it up, there is a 7-minute highlight reel of Brian Norman versus Devin Haney going around social media right now, of all the clinches that we saw done in that fight. 7 minutes of clinching, when in terms of Devin Haney saying, I don't like that narrative that I'm initiating the clinch, and Brian Norman was the one that was initiated it because he was the one that was hurt. Like, no. Watch that whole thing. You get to the 2-minute mark and you'll see most of those clinches were made by Devin Haney stifling the competition, or rather stifling Brian Norman when he got close, and hugging him up, turning him around, and then resetting, or holding until the ref broke and then doing it. But you could see his hands being the one that's grabbing almost every time. Most of those clinching initiations came at the second half of the fight. There's nearly 4 minutes of just the second half of the fight being clinches from not Brian Norman, but from Devin Haney. Same thing with Ken Bosos in both of their fights. And a lot of Devin Haney's entire career. Shoot, even against Jose Ramirez when he was just running all night long, he still was initiating the clinch. And when they try and be the one to stop the action, you are the problem when it comes to you not making these fights, or not making these fights entertaining, and you sitting on a lead. And you can't say that Teofimo Lopez was more ready to go and more ready to get knocked out than Brian Norman Jr., and you knocked Brian Norman down. You had him hurt for 30 seconds. You had him hurt for 2 rounds. Round 2 and round 3, Brian Norman was hurt. He was hurt bad. He didn't recover till round 4. You were drawing his head back and knocking him. You were dazing him with your jab between rounds. What was it? Round 2, round 3, round 4? The butter was rocked, and you didn't get it done. You had him ready. He was out at one point, and you could have gone and with another flurry, knocked him down again. You could have put, for longer than 30 seconds, you could have put pedal to the metal and gone for the KO, and you could have gotten yourself a better claim to have this as we're killing the narrative. But no, you didn't. That's why I've continued to say the first 6 rounds of the fight were great. From the quintessential Devin Haney type of fight. Even with the clinching that he would do, guess what? I could overlook it because the whole performance up until that point, hey, you fought like we thought you could fight. Thankfully, the real Devin Haney's back. Then once round 7 came and Brian Norman landed a good 2-1 combination and Devin Haney got caught with the cleanest shot of the night on his end, guess what happened? He clinched for the rest of the fight and secured it. You made your own narrative and you bled into it, and you didn't even try to go and fight into the same stable line of top tier potential that we know you could do, unlike with Shakur. Shakur even upped his own aggression as the fight got later, when he had full control. When he gained the respect of Teal, when he nullified all of Teal's defenses and offensive moves, when he was able to go and you saw him opening up with more combinations, taking more chances inside the pocket, popping that jab out even more, sitting more firmly in that mid-range. He was doing it all night long, but even more willing to go and work from the threshold of, hey, yeah, I don't have to worry about you anymore. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And he did just that. And it didn't knock him down. And sure enough, Tio was in a way better state from a damage perspective. But there's no way you can look at that and say, yeah, Tio was more ready to go when you had a knockdown against Brian Norman. And you can't compare the two performances. You're right, you can't. You know why? Because his was better. League's better. Undoubtedly better. Against better competition. It's not, we forget that part. Better comp. He did it. He did it against somebody that had the accomplishments near to yours. In terms of Devin Haney, multi-division champion, had beaten one of the best in the world in Lomachenko before, had beaten another one of the best in the world in Josh Taylor, had been able to move up, had been holding that title at 147 3 to 4 consecutive times. Was a better offensive fighter, or one of the better offensive fighters in the world. Athletic ability of the caliber, or at least within the vicinity of somebody like a Boots Ennis, of some of the best elite athletes that we got in the sport right now. Which is, again, I'm not saying that to compare the talent. I'm saying that to compare the uniqueness factor. We were saying it about Tio for years. That was a better competent fighter with a better proven track record than what you faced off against Brian Norman that was more comparable to you. And he beat him better than you beat a guy that wasn't even on Shakur's level, which is no disrespect to Brian Norman Jr., because that was a dangerous fight. But I'm saying everything points to that fight being better. Devin Haney, you are not able to defend yourself in this type of situation because there's nothing that you did in that fight that was better than Shakur. There's nothing that you almost can say you can't compare those fights. You can almost say that. The only thing you can say is Devin Haney fought a stiffer puncher. Maybe, yeah, sure. And the danger for Devin Haney, because of the power that Brian Norman brought, was an even bigger potential. Yeah, fine. No issue there from the standpoint of outright pop. Beyond that, what the world elevates your win over Brian, or makes it so that you can detract from what Shakur did. To say that, oh yeah, y'all saying this about me, why aren't y'all saying this about him? Because it doesn't apply to him. It doesn't apply to him. He successfully shut down the very narrative that you say you get unfairly, while you led into it with the way that you fight. That's what, let it be perfectly honest. That also brings up a whole other discussion when it came to A-side, B-side conversations with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. If that fight was to even take place, it's a perfect segue. It's a perfect segue. It's a perfect segue. People talk about how Devin should be A-side or the B-side or it should be that. No, why am I not getting the same love or getting the same talk of conversation when I've done X, Y, Z, this, that, and the third? I'm the guy that's undisputed. I'm the guy that's all this in the bag of chips, and you are. You absolutely are. You absolutely are. At the same breath, we have to look at it from this perspective as well. Hey, you were all of that. You were all of those things on the Ring Magazine card. Yet, you were the co-main event. Why was that? You've been undisputed. You've been doing all this stuff. Yet, you were on you getting your own main event again outside of the Kambosos fight and the Pogre's fight. In the recent years has been like, excuse me, he also main evented with Lomachenko. Understand, but again, that's Lomachenko. When it was other comparable stars on your same tenure, you were the co-main event. Why? Well, it's because, in part, it's because of the way that you fight. People, even with the accolades, people still can't buy into you without the partner involved to make it so that, they are invested or entertained. Because every time we want to give you your flowers, hey, he can do this, that, and the third, you pull back or you don't do it at all. From the perspective, you don't give everything that we know you can give in your game. On top of the fact On top of the fact that when you try to go through and talk, detracting to other fighters, it only brings up the bigger issues involving why your style hasn't translated to the same marketability, the same top tier level campaigning, and the same level of essentially all seeing eyes on you when it comes to the public appeal. Because stuff like this, the problems are literally coming from the very words that you speak, because you're saying exactly what the issue is. That you're pointing out what other people aren't doing, but it's only shining a light on the fact that it's you that ain't doing it. It's you that's not finishing the show. It's you that's backing off when you have a lead. It's you that is clinching up for 7 minutes straight. It's you that has somebody hurt but doesn't go and say, I'm gonna go get it done. It's you that goes and flatlines your performance once you go up and get control. Yeah, sure. Oh, the opponents got to do something about it. Yeah, they do. No issue there. But at the same breath, what do we talk about? We talked about this like a year ago. The essence of the sport. That's about the essence of the sport. It doesn't fit the essence of what the sport's supposed to be. And when we bring them to the legends, again, they fit that essence in a way that, okay, yeah, we can buy into, or fans can buy into it in a different regime. But for this, it's infuriating. It is infuriating. Let me see. I want to make sure I can go and keep on talking to people. Let me see. Trying to make sure I still got my checks. Let me see. Would you say Devin Haney is just afraid something's going to go wrong at the wrong time? Yes. He go, if you watch that interview, you can even go back and you can even go back and stinking listen to it. Max Kellerman brought up that point that why would you want to risk something going wrong because something stupid lands, all because you're still right in front of him trying to actually fight. Devin Haney said, yeah, exactly, or something to that extent. You know, I'm in control. I have a lead. I don't need to risk anything but going awry and messing up the flow of what I got going on. Why would I want to go and risk that propensity or possibility of something dumb landing and messing me up entirely? So, negate their ability to do anything in the first place. Again, paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. And again, that is how you win. Like we said before, winning is everything, but it sure enough ain't the only thing. It ain't. It definitely isn't. And so Bird, that's hilarious. He's trying to go against it. Yeah, like it's a narrative. It's a narrative that, mind you, he made himself. He built this story about himself because he kept doing it over and over, and is still doing it to this day, and denies it when he does it. That's the one thing I don't. At least own up to it. At least own up to the fact that, yes, I do clinch. I do hold a lead. Yeah, I get it done. You know why? Because I'm winning. That's fine. Okay, cool. But you're trying to act like you're something that you're trying to act like you are not something that you, in fact, are. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Devin is definitely worried about taking a good punch to the chin, and he boxes like he's not sure of himself. And that's the biggest, or that's one of the biggest differences between Devin and Shakur. And again, also, Frankie Z, thank you for coming in. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you on the show. We're so happy that you're here, and anybody else tuning in. We love you. We're glad that you're here. Leave a like on the stream. Keep on sharing the show. All that stuff to help make this show bigger and better. We're having a great conversation. But this is the truth. This is, in fact, the truth of the matter. Let me turn my mic down a little bit. I want to make sure I'm not blowing anybody's eardrums out. But that is the truth of the matter. Devin Haney, he's fighting in a way since the Ryan Garcia fight. He's fighting in a way that wasn't confident. Then when he got his confidence back and fought in the way that we thought he could fight against Brian Norman, When he got caught with something, what did I say? He went through and became a recluse yet again. Uber conservative. Shakur got caught with something, and guess what happened? He still kept fighting in the exact same pattern. It's not about you going through and fighting and just winning. It's about you showing that you still are everything that you think that you are, in spite of something potentially getting through. Because you got to understand, you have to understand, Shakur Stevenson did not back off against Tio. He fought to the utmost ability that we've seen Shakur be able to fight. That was everything I wanted to see from Shakur. And he didn't back down at all. And guess what happened? While being in front of Tio, while not going and stop throwing punches, while still trying to be offensively dominant, he held Teofimo Lopez to 13% accuracy. Tio has never been below 25% accuracy in his entire career. If I got my data correct, there has been no fighter, not even Lomachenko, that could hold him under sub 20, I think it's like sub 28. 13%. Mind you, Shakur's accuracy for most fighters when they land against him is an average of 14%, I believe, roughly. He held him lower than his actual average for when boxers fight against him, or something along those lines. It's ridiculous. We're saying he did that while still keeping, forget pressure, because that sounds like we're just trying to say that he's coming in guns blazing, while keeping still offensive, an offensive activity, without shrinking away or trying to be uber defensive. Fighting like he knows he can fight. He had one of the best performances of his career. And you know the last time that we saw that from Devin Haney? In a full fight. The last time we saw Devin Haney fight like Devin Haney in the fullest capacity, where there was no slacking off, there was no backing down, there was simply Devin Haney's giving it everything that he's got. And he's fighting with every tool that he has in his tool belt without fear of what may or may not happen. The last time we saw him do that was Lomachenko, Regis Prograis. That's the last time. That's the last time. That's the last time we saw him do it. Prograis, Lomachenko.
Hey, look at this. We got the problems here.
That's it.
We got the problems here.
Prograis and Lomachenko were the last times we saw him do it. The last time. Ryan Garcia, he only tried to keep on fighting back because he knew he was losing. And there was no way he couldn't box. He had to go and just take risks because there was no way he could go win that fight. But that was Brian Norman, again, only for half the fight in the totality of affairs. Lomachenko, Prograis are the only two times I've seen Devin Haney fully do everything Devin Haney can do without fear of what's coming back or what's going to happen. He just fought. He just fought. He hasn't done that since. And it's because there is still a lingering fear of risk. And Shakur talks about risk all the time, but what does he do? What do we tell you about people often? Operating inside of the risk. That's literally, this argument is proving my point that I brought up with Inoue last week. Inoue isn't just great because he's knocking people out. He isn't just great because, he looks the part. He's great because you can't use his detractions. He gets hit too much against him because he's operating inside of the risk. It's going to happen that you'll get caught, but he's fighting with everything he's got in a way that everybody else can't do what they would get knocked out if they were doing anything close to what he was doing because he's that great. And Shakur is embodying that and showed that against Tio. If he didn't back down and fought exactly how he knows he can fight in a way that nobody else can replicate in the world today just about, and still performed in a way that made his opponent look outclassed, outmatched, didn't even belong in the same field, and he operated inside of the risk of who Teofimo Lopez was and nullified it completely without doing a De Los Santos, without going the hard tuning route of just backing off. He just fought. He just fought. And Devin Haney does not do that. At points in time, the risks are too great for him. And we know he's a great technical talent, but that is an undeniable fact of his fighting style. The fear of what can go wrong, just like it did have that same argument with Shakur, but now Shakur shook that off. Devin Haney, it's still on him. It's still on him. It's still on him. It's a shame. Let's see, I gotta agree, the fight became kind of boring, like Devin was clinging to the win. Right, thank you. Devin was clinging to the win and not seizing it. He was fighting not to lose instead of fighting to win. He was fighting not to lose instead of fighting to win. And see, that's why I guarantee you there's a fight that's going to come where Devin Haney might not be undefeated. Why? Because if you are fighting just to cling to a win, if you're just fighting not to lose, you're going to lose at some point. Why? Because it's going to be guaranteed that somebody will take the win away from you. Because you're not fighting for it still. You're just trying to keep it. There's a difference. Champions fight not just to defend the title, but some of the best champions fight as if they're still fighting for the title. They still fight within an aggressor's mentality. They still fight with the I still got something to vie for. I'm the champion, but I'm fighting like the challenger. I'm the champion, but I'm fighting like I don't have anything. I'm the champion, but I'm not going to just sit down and say, hey, the judges are going to give it to me. I'm going to take it because I still got to take it. Because if I don't take it, somebody will. I got to guard this with my life, and I got to fight for my life. Because that's how much desperation, that's how much investment, that's how much drive's got to happen to make it so that you are ensured that you get the best out of yourself and that you make this win come home with you. Not just sitting down and winning the fight, defensively looking to just secure the win, and not defensively as in like you're moving through and you're block. I'm saying you're defensively you are just being you're just trying to play it safe to make sure you come out with the W. You gotta fight like you're the challenger. Still fight smart, but with that same sentiment. That way you leave nothing to waste, and you make sure that you ensure that nothing gets by you. For the perspective of, I did everything I could to make sure I get this win. There's some risk involved. But if you're successful, it leaves no doubt and no questions. That's what we don't have with Devin Haney right now. Even with the great performance, even with the great half-fight performance that we saw against Brian Norman, it's not the same. It's not the same at all. Nowhere close to what we can compare to with Shakur. Nowhere close. I mean, I kind of had to fight even after 12 rounds, knockout and knockdown, of course. And if you had it that it was a lot closer than people may have thought, because of the fact that Devin Haney was just, again, clinching up. And to a degree, he still didn't get called or a point deducted for it because he was overly clinching, not really engaging at all. The refs need to stop that. They've done it with other fighters, they need to do it with him. Would be mad at you. Because you're not, there's a difference. There's a difference in being defensive and not engaging. More often than not, when he gets the lead, he doesn't want to engage at all. Because why risk a risk? That's the thing. That's how he thinks. Let me see. It's really frustrating. Let me see. I feel like Norman boxes way back, even by the 7th or 8th round. Those were some of the 2 best rounds of the fight. I think it's 7th, 8th, or 9th, somewhere around those lines. And so, like, he was fighting and getting some success. He was building up momentum, but also it was in part because Devin Haney, what was he doing? Just sitting on the lead. Just sitting on the lead. That's all he was doing. And he wasn't still building on the success and nullifying with boxing everything that Norman was doing to make sure there was, in fact, no shot that Brian Norman could get the victory. None. part of the reason why we saw Norman be able to come back with some actual good rounds in later stages. But with Shakur, that wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. It would not happen. It's a shame. But see, I would have given Devin the fight had he kept applying pressure, but he didn't. He was fighting as if he knocked down yeah, exactly. He was fighting as if he had almost finished the job outright between rounds 2 and 4. He was fighting like he had 4 knockdowns and just was I don't need to do nothing else. Again, eventually that's gonna bite him. It's gonna bite him. And even in the Prograis fight, I felt like he left Regis off the hook. And I'll be honest, he did. But it was a lot better than what we saw against Norman. Mind you, I was watching it with a friend of mine in college. I watched that already. I went back to campus to visit one of my friends in college. And we watched that, and I was watching that fight with him. Like, he doesn't do a whole bunch of stuff with boxing. But I was watching that fight with him. Alex, hey, good to see you. I think we actually had him on the show earlier. Alex Rucker, yeah, look, he's an author, by the way. Getting ready to have a book come out. Now, a great space sci-fi book. I can't wait for y'all to read. It's going to be phenomenal. But he had me come out to his room. We were hanging out, chilling. I had to watch the fight for a job. Or for the show. For the show. Put it up on his TV. We watched it. That was the first time he had ever seen Devin Haney. And I'm telling you this right now, he was actually like, oh man, this guy can actually fight. Mind you, that was one of the better performances of his entire career. And even in that fight, yeah, he let him off the hook. He knocked Prograis down twice. He had him wobble, had him hurt, face swelled up. He could have ended the show right there. He could have ended the show by round 8. He could have ended the show by round 8. But he didn't. But he at least kept a more stable performance than what we had seen against Brian Norman. He at least kept it B-line, baseline. He gonna be up here. And if he dipped, he ain't dipped nearly as much. Not nearly as much. And so you're doggone right. He let him off the hook. But I would rather have had that performance against Brian Norman than what we actually saw against Brian Norman in a totality perspective. And you would have had a better leg to stand on trying to detract from Shakur Stevenson, because you can't. With what you did in your last fight wasn't even up to Prograis' level. From the perspective of a full-blown talent. You can say that Norman's better than Prograis, no problem. But the performance when you have full control, we're comparing what you do with the lead. We're comparing what you do when you are up. How do you respond when you are getting ground gained? Do you continue to elongate, or do you just sit there and say, you'll catch up, but you won't catch up enough? There's a difference. There's a big difference. And right now, Devin Haney seemingly fails to see it. Or rather, fails to acknowledge it. That's one of his biggest problems. That's why the A-side, B-side conversation is coming up. Because we're like, brother, this is part of the reason why we say you're boring to watch. This is part of the reason why you didn't lead off, or this is part of the reason why you didn't headline the main event when you were the most accomplished star in the New York card. It's one of the bigger reasons why you've been on undercards before. And more often than not, it's to set up a big-time, exciting fight. Devin Haney versus Brian Norman wasn't even the main event of the Benavidez Yard card. It was Benavidez and Yard, and that fight was to defend the title that Benavidez hadn't even fought for. He was given the WBA title. Devin Haney was the most accomplished brother on that card, and he still wasn't able to headline. Why? Because of stuff like what we're talking about right now. That's why I keep saying it's not just about the win. Though the win is everything. Showing up is not the only thing. Not the only thing. Let me see. To be fair, Shakur's mentors are Bud and SGO, while Devin's is basically his dad, as far as I can tell. But you see, you have to understand, he's modeled his style also after Floyd. He's been around all these other stars, pundits. He loves watching all these other fighters. He's a student of the game. He has been in the he's been in the amateurs with these other fighters. He's picked up and even taken some stuff from other fighters as well. He has even adapted to criticisms against him, like with the left hook and all that stuff. There's no excuse when we've seen him put on those types of performances that we're asking for without a Bud Crawford or an SGL or a Clarissa Shields in his corner. Benavidez ain't got none of that, but we see how he's fighting. CRUZ ain't got none of that, but we see how he's fighting. We see other fighters without all of the other stuff still be able to be what they are. Brian Norman without anybody else and just his dad alone. We saw how much of a menace he was able to look like. Yes, he got beat by Devin Haney, but in terms of what you can become as a fighter, in a way, only has been trained and surrounded by his dad and brothers. But look at the style he's been able to adapt, or rather adopt as his own. Without, mind you, he don't live in the States. Without the, and he's the leading standard for that whole country and for the world, if I'm being completely honest, of what it's like to, about what a fighter should be like. And he ain't got Crawford, he ain't got Clarissa, he ain't got Andre Ward, or in some cases, Roy Jones Jr., who are the worders around the circle. He ain't got that. But he's able to do what he's able to do. You can culture, and he's fought like what we wanted to fight like before. He's done it before. Look, if I can say the same thing for Tank, when he went up to 140 before, and we can say you done it before, why can't you do it again? I'm saying the same thing for Devin Haney. We've seen you fight like what we want to see you fight like before. We saw you take the same, or at least a similar leap in production, just like when we were talking and detracting against Shakur Stevenson for how he was fighting. And guess what? He went and fought just how we wanted to see him fight. And he had done it before in lower weight classes. And he got back to that in full totality. Again, with hands healed, everything healthy, he was able to do what we saw he could do. Great. Devin Haney, we're saying you did it, you've done this before in your career, and you now are still trying to defend, hey, this is who I am. Well, this is not who you need to be, because you can be better. And you can't throw shade at others when you, as your own fighter, are a problem. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. But let me see. Still trying to read. Yeah, there's a huge difference in mentorship. Yep, understandable. Absolutely. Eventually, I'll come back and bite Devin, but it might be the rematch. And yep. See?
Hey, look at this. We got the problems here. We got the problems here.
See? This right here. I told you. You brought it up. I'm telling you right now. It's gonna come back to get him. It's gonna come back to get him. Because this is, I think this is exactly why Devin Haney, even without PEDs, can beat, or Devin Haney without PEDs, and there's a Ryan Garcia using them. That's what we were saying. Let me say that. Without Ryan Garcia on PEDs, this is why I still say that he can beat Devin Haney. I'm not saying he will, but he can't. Why? Because he is the exact type of fighter to stifle this type of safety that Devin Haney relies on when he fights. He's the exact built fighter to stifle and stop that same sentiment of sitting on a lead that Devin Haney wants to do every time he fights. He's the exact fighter that will not let you have the ability just to box him to oblivion. Because mind you, Devin Haney still got the same boxing ability. He showed it against Brian Norman in a way that we didn't see him do it since Ryan Garcia, but it's the same boxing. He's back to where he used to be. Bigger, a little bit stronger, absolutely, But the boxing ability is the same. And it's elite. But if anybody's taking the biggest leap to get better, it's Ryan Garcia. Since their fight against each other all those 2 years ago. With defeats on Ryan Garcia's end against Roland Romero. The fighter who's taking the biggest leap in their own trajectory is Ryan Garcia. In their own boxing ability. And it was all by simply adding a right hand. But all of a sudden, we saw him on top of that boxing a little bit more. We saw him actually using his feet a little bit more. And we saw him still being the same physically towering, destructive force, even more buying into that against the bigger man. We saw Ryan Garcia take a bigger leap forward versus us seeing Devin Haney get back to what he was. That does not mean that Devin Haney isn't still great. That does mean that if they do ever rematch, that's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous thing. I think it was even Roland Romero that was saying Devin Haney might be scared of Ryan Garcia because he knows he can beat him. Mind you, this is Rolly. Brother who don't care about nobody from the perspective, he'll talk bad about anybody, no matter who. Actually giving respect to Ryan Garcia. Now, whether you think that's real or not, fine. I'll take your pick. But I'm just simply saying, if there was a fight that mentality is going to bite him in the butt, it's this one. It would be this one. It would absolutely be this one. Him versus Ryan. Because he can beat him. Because he won't let him. If you sit on a lead against Ryan, try to just sit on a lead against Ryan Garcia, well, you got to get one first. And how Ryan Garcia looks like right now, though, yes, it's Mario Barrios, still, getting a lead against Ryan Garcia, getting a lead against Ryan Garcia is not easy. And it could be a repeat of what we saw the first time they fought. It could be. Why? Because Ryan Garcia, the ultimate will of him is I will continue to be dominant. I'm not the most skilled. I'm not the most technical, but I will be the most dominant fighter in the ring. That perfectly clashes and potentially cancels out Devin Haney's mentality of I'm going to get a lead and then sit on it. I'm going to make it insurmountable for you to come back and then do the bare minimum versus I'm going to do the maximum and make it so that I'm always getting another round. That's the problem. It's like somebody saying I'm out front. I'm just trying to block everybody off and keep my lead in the race versus somebody who I'm going to get the fastest lap every time out on the track, every time I cross the finish line. Subsequently, somebody's going to catch up. And it's going to be the person who's not just trying to defend and block people off, but the person trying to get the fastest lap every time on the track. Because it ain't a one-lap race. That's the thing. That's the Devin Haney better recognize that real quick. It ain't a one-lap race. And the way you fighting this mentality is going to bite him. It's going to bite him bad. It's going to bite him bad in the future. Let me see. Also, Love King, how you doing? Good to see you. Hold on. Love King, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in to the show with us on today. I appreciate you all showing up and showing out on the topics of discussion. Let me see. Devin always trying to talk down on somebody, including his up-and-coming opponents. Drives me crazy. He's going to do it. He thinks he's on the pound list, deserves to be there. He's one of the best in the world. Yes, sure. But he's going to do it regardless. He's going to do it. Because he thinks and he feels he's all that in the bag of chips. He's all that in the bag of chips. But it's, like I said, he still got a hurdle to climb because he still got folks that are up and coming. Especially now with, again, allegedly Keyshawn Davis going up officially to welterweight at 140 or at 147. And also, if he keeps on growing like this, because he still got room to grow, once he gets up to 154, that's when everything's really about to hit the fan. From the perspective of talent versus talent when it comes to Devin Haney. That's when stuff's about to get really bad, or at least really dangerous in this regard. Devin's talk doesn't equal his output. It bothers me. It bothers a lot of people. And again, this is part of why, as a champ, he doesn't get the respect from the public eye in the same way. Because what you say versus what you do, and I've said this before, it doesn't match up. It doesn't match up. If it matched up, it'd be a completely different story. A completely different connotation of how we view Devin. When I talk about you calling, you're going to knock somebody out and then you do it. We're simply saying Floyd bought into the idea, you pay to see me lose, and I'm not going to lose. I'm going to outbox him. I'm going to work him. And if you don't like it, do something about it. And by the end of the fight, you're going to see, you can't touch me. At least he bought into it. Devin Haney is talking, again, Debo Dev, he's big, he's strong, no question about it. But he is indeed not using the maximum ability of that physicality, but he's talking like, hey, I'm going to put everybody down. And even when it looks like he's about to back it up, what does he do? He backs off. He backs off. That's the problem. That's the biggest crux of Devin Haney's entire ability. He backs off of his own word. He backs off of his own productivity. He backs off of his own capacity to be able to be dominant because he just wants to win. That's the problem. We don't say, how do we say this? When we talk about, and some folks that are older than me, that have been watching boxing longer than me, please enlighten me on whether or not this statement is true. In part, this is exactly why we talk about when old era, new era, golden age, silver age, when it comes to the world of boxing and the different time periods that boxing has existed. That's been one of the disconnects of today's era, though we still have a lot of people that do. For the majority, it was led by people that were not fighting of that same mentality of keep pushing forward from the perspective of in the ring, giving it all that we got. In the vein of what I say is what I'm going to do. Or at least you see the effort to try to make that happen. And to some degree, especially with Devin Haney, it's still a callback to the safety net era that in part was made by Floyd. Because don't want to risk the dangers of something going wrong. Box, be technical, show the class, all that stuff, but then still getting the win is all you need to worry about. Fans, they don't know anything. They don't know what they want to see. They don't know what good fighting and bad fighting is. They can't fight anyway. They just talk. They don't know about action and all this stuff. So forget it. They have no respect. They have no idea of what the sport actually should be or what it is. And they don't understand the sweet science in actuality. So don't listen to them. Do what you need to do. Get your money. Get the win. Get out. That type of sentiment. In some degree, it's true. But in many degrees, it's not. But in all degrees, it's what shaped, to some degree, the era that we see coming in and currently getting out of this point in time. And it still has fighters under that wing. Because most of the people that are stars now grew up watching Floyd be Money Mayweather. Not Pretty Boy. Money Mayweather. And Money Mayweather sold the idea of the win is the only thing that matters. Public opinion, throw it out the window. No matter how it looks, get it done. And again, the sentiment's understandable, but like I keep saying, broken record. Getting the win is the most important thing, but it is not the only thing about a fighter that not just makes a fight exciting, not just makes the fight invested, but also it's not the only thing that's going to get you the win. Even as an end goal, it's not the only thing that will get you the win. It won't. You need more. You're going to need more than that. Because again, everybody ain't Floyd. And Devin Haney, right now, he's on it. He deserves to be able to talk because, again, he won. But we see that there is a horizon. Devin Haney doesn't recognize exactly what we are saying and why we're saying to the fans and take it to heart. It's not just because we're trying to say, oh, we want you to be entertaining. I'm trying to help you out because there's about to come a day where you about to run into somebody. It could be Ryan Garcia. It could be somebody at 154. You about to run into somebody that they're going to rip that win away from you. And you don't have the capacity to fight your way to a victory. It almost happened before, and it can happen again. You can't sit on a victory that you don't have. You got to get it back. And the last time we saw you had to fight for a victory, many people thought you lost. And that was against Lomachenko. Though admirable effort. Many people feel like you lost against Lomachenko. And only because you were a literal, looked like a 160 pounder in the ring against him. But now from this point on, as much as you are a bigger fighter and you can carry more pop, fine. But you sitting on a lead, that lead is going to get ripped from under you. Somebody's literally going to pull the chair of victory from under you. Because they're not fighting just to keep the lead. They're fighting to take the win. And you not having that as your main MO, even with how you fight, it's going to backfire. I promise you it will. It will. It will. I guarantee you it. From a mentality standpoint, it doesn't get much better than Bud. Or yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. And so that's why he's been able to teach him. Or that's why he's been able to learn in the way that he's been able to learn. And succeed in the way he's been able to succeed. It's an incredible thing. We just hope that Devin Haney, seeing this, will indeed take it to heart. At least to some degree. My goodness, at least to some degree. Because if he does, the word, so much good can come from it. So much good can come from it. But either way, my goodness, it's frustrating to say the least, but we'll still find out how it goes, or rather how the boxing will still unfold as time goes on. We got more stuff in the boxing world that we do need to discuss, like with Jai Apatai beating the likes of Brandon Glanton, who was it that kept on saying that Glanton was going to go and beat the likes of Jai Apatai? Hey, buddy, I called it right. Apatai beat Brandon Glanton, dominated Glanton, and essentially won kind of easy, won a little bit easy. And now is the first ever Zuffa champion. But now, with that being the case, the question, and I need you all's help on this, is Apatia the IBF champ now? Or is he no longer the IBF champ, and it's only the Zuffa champion? Because now it's gotten to a point where Brandon Glanton got beat up, got washed. Unanimous decision, I believe, was for Jai Apatai. Rocked him a couple times, hurt him a couple times, went through and did his thing, destroyed him from the perspective of being able to box and essentially outclass him. And then he had all 3 belts on him. But the IBF said that they didn't sanction the fight. That belt's not on the line. And I'm unsure whether he's stripped or not. Dana White's saying he's going to sue. He's going to try to go and say, hey, you can't operate at that saying, you can't do that to my fighter. At the same breath, he said that those other belts don't matter. Contradictions about it. He said the Zuffa belt and the ring belt are the only 2 belts that mean anything. Yet now he's willing to say, I'll work with fighters to get unification. Contradictions abounding. I'm not trying to bring this up in a bad light. I'm trying to bring this up as a real question. How is Zuffa going to operate? Understanding that fighters like Jai Patai, fighters like Mark Messiah, Conor Benn, those on the 4-1 fight deal with Conor Benn, but even still, signed with Zuffa in order to get themselves a platform of stability and championship aspirations. Undisputed unifications. All of these of the like is what they want to have. But the Zuffa's trying to have the agenda of our belt and the ring are the only belts that mean anything anymore. Now you got somebody with Jai Patai who just became your champion, but now with Max Kellerman saying you're already undisputed, you are already the guy, you're our dude, and you got the ring, nobody else matters. When you got Zerto and Benavidez all along getting ready to fight each other for unification, you gonna say that they ain't champion? You gonna say that they don't count? You're gonna say that they don't have a viable contender for one half? Because I believe it's unification. So essentially one half of the undisputed title. You're not gonna recognize them. You're not gonna work with them to fight. If that fight does happen and Jai Patai gets a chance to fight any one of them, because he's even looking to fight Zerto for who knows how long. I am getting very interested, but also very conflicted with how Zuffa's going to be able to work in this landscape of boxing with what they want to make for themselves. Mind you, at the same breath, the Ali Revival Act, to my knowledge, has not been signed yet. Why is that important? Because what the Ali Act, again, enforces is that a promotion can have a belt and make the rankings for a belt that they own at the same time to keep things kosher. To make it so that there's not a situation where somebody like the PBC can make a championship, crown a champion, and then manipulate the rankings so that that champion can keep on reigning because they're making more money. It still happens, but it's not supposed to be in that type of vein. That's why sanctioning bodies and promotions are separate. But Zuffa, being a promotion and having a championship and making the rankings for said championship is a conflict of interest. Yes, it is.
Hey, look at this.
Very bad. Very bad. Now that Ali Revival Act in part is supposed to make it so that under this promotional control of rankings and belt system, you can go and operate under it adjacent to what the Ali Act is in its totality or in its original form. But to my knowledge, that hasn't been signed yet. So again, I don't think with that knowledge, I don't know if we can take this belt seriously. I don't know if we can take this belt seriously right now. I don't know if we can take this championship as validity. We can take the win, beating Glanton, top 10 fighter in the division. Sure, we can take that seriously. We can take the performance seriously. We can take his standing as the IBF champ seriously, as the ring champ seriously. But I don't know if this helps to make Zuffa a valid claim of a legitimate championship. And if it does, well, now there's what? The WBC, the WBO, the IBF, the WBA, the ring, and then, and I think the ring, what was it? WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF, the ring, that's 5. And then Zuffa, that's 6. If you want to say that the interim belts also should count, well, that's 7. If you want to say that the lineal championship is a separate title from the Ring magazine, because some people, I can't remember if it's attached to the ring or if it is its own specified title that isn't necessarily attached to the Ring Magazine Championship, then that's 8. So at worst, there's 6 championships now. At best, there's 6 championships that we gotta take seriously if the Zuffa belt is real. At worst, there's 8. There's as many championships now as there were, or there's as many championships now as weight classes dominated by Manny Pacquiao, which was 8. And we saw that as preposterous. Right now, this is preposterous in the worst way, not in the best way. I am very curious that this situation with Zuffa, especially with the thing not being signed into law yet, to my knowledge, is not going to work in the same way that people thought it would work. Even though they're starting up, they're young, yeah. But when you say boxing pulling their support of the bill, and if they're doing it, I guarantee there's going to be other people that start pulling their support from the Ali Revival Act. I don't know if Jai OPATIA made the right decision for his career. Though I understood what the goal was. The goal was he wanted a big fight. The goal was he wanted to get himself in a position where he can get the titles, get the championships, do the legacy thing. Because he has been just about, I want Zerda. I want Undisputed. He's been about that. I'm not questioning him or his motives. I'm questioning the machine that he's trying to get behind. Which we should all be questioning. Because at this point in time, it's a lot of dissension. The IBF, again, said we ain't sanctioning this fight. And if that's the case, then abruptly, they're saying he's got to get stripped. And that means, abruptly, he's no longer in the world championship picture. Though he's in the picture from the standpoint of he's a competitor. He's a competitor. But straight up champion ain't that no more. Allegedly. So we're like, did signing with Zuffa essentially derail OPATIA's ability to get what he wants to get? And is this a waning sign for the public eye and for other boxers to say you may be, as much as we understand what exactly Zuffa may look like it can be, structure the boxers have been looking for. Drew Miller spoke against it. And now with Jai OPATIA, he just got stripped when he was a champion fighting under their belt because they weren't saying they're not being attached to Zuffa at all. Don't know. I really don't know how exactly this is going to pan out for the better when big time stars try to make this stuff happen. I don't know. And especially that law doesn't pass. Does this belt still become relevant? Or does it become obsolete? Because right now it ain't. So I'm shaking. I'm really shaking. And just keep an eye out because all of this is a big deal. All of this is a big deal because this changes the landscape of how people can go throughout their careers. It's not just another player in the game. Understand. Zuffa's trying to become a legacy-defining and career-defining belt and promotion. They're trying to become, again, the UFC championship, how the promotion and the belt are connected one and the same to elevate somebody's career, make a legacy out of somebody. Zuffa's trying to do that same thing with the Zuffa Championship. Dana White's trying to do the same thing with the Zuffa Championship. They're trying to make that not just with the champions that are already abounding in boxing. They're trying to make it above the champions that are already abounding in boxing. Above the undisputed champions like Inoue, Canelo Alvarez when he was formerly a champion, Shakur Stevenson above him, Usyk above him. Because they're trying to make it that their belt is the only belt that matters. And right now, that slope might take a little bit of a hit. Because they try to say, if you going to fight for them, then you don't mean nothing to us. And the rest of the world does not recognize Zuffa. Legally, as well as straight up legacy-wise. They don't recognize him. So my gosh, this could be a bad formula. This could be a bad formula. It could be a very bad formula. So be mindful. Just be on the lookout for this whole situation. Because Jai getting stripped is not a small thing. That is a big move by one of the more reputable. Although we can call them strict, they at least got a standard. Sanctioning bodies in the world, which is the IBF. And my gosh, at this point in time, it's looking, lines have been drawn. That's the best thing I can say. Lines have been drawn in the sand from the perspective of how this world of boxing is going to look and operate at this point in time. But either way, that's, for this point in time, that's what we can look at. But we're going to talk about it more as time goes on. But even still, we got time right now to go into the world of the championship rounds as we're nearing the end of our show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We want to hear from you, your topics and your responses. It is time for your voice, your opinions, your facts, your conversations, whatever you want to discuss in the world of boxing. We've covered our main agenda, and now it's time for you, the viewing and listening public, to go through and talk through what you had to say on the day and everything regarding the world of boxing and beyond. Your voice, your talk, your conversation, everything under the sun. We want to hear from you in all actuality. So put your thoughts in the comments. Let your thoughts be heard. Let your voice be seen for the public to hear. And let's see what you got to say right now. And come on in and let's talk. Let's talk. It's time to work. It's time to shine. It's time to make the show your own. And it's time to go and make the championship rounds the best of occasions. 30 minutes to an hour. Let's see what you got to say on movies, sports, television, video games, and anything under the sun. Absolutely. And please, if you can, leave a like on the video. Keep on commenting your thoughts and opinions. Keep on subscribing. Keep on sharing the show. And shameless plug, if you want to support the channel, hey, Cash App and PayPal. Links down below. We can't do this without you, as well as super chats, super gifts, and all that stuff. If you can give and support the channel, it would mean the world to me. And hey, we can even spend more time on your chat. If you do, throw some money. Oh yeah. So let's see what you got to say on today. And we want to get your voices on the stream. But as you get your questions together, we got news that we will cover. We got other adjacent topics of discussion that we can go to help pique the interest of the viewing and listening public for what they would like to talk about. Like with Usyk, as a topic of conversation, Eddie has now confirmed that after this fight with Rico, the one of the greatest kickboxers that we have now going over, getting a championship opportunity, a legit championship opportunity against Usyk, he's now confirmed he ain't got 3 years in the game left. He's got 3 fights left on his resume, and then he's going to go and leave the sport. As you can see right now, this has been confirmed per Inside the Ring with the interviews. Usyk's got 3 fights left, and I think I can actually bring up the interview right now where he talked about this very fight with Rico. And I'll play it right now for you all to witness and see what the current unified champion has to say.
Listen, Rico, this is first. Second, it's a who win.
Wardley or Dubois?
Wardley Dubois.
You can't see Dubois again.
Yeah,
No.
and third fight, it's my friend Greedy Belly Tyson Fury.
Hey, as you can see, oh my, oh Lord, we got to confirm now. Those are the 3 fights he's going to have. Usyk is going to fight Rico. There's going to be winner of Wardley and Dubois. And then Tyson Fury is the last fight of his career if we see Tyson Fury win against the likes of Makhmudov and subsequently another fight if he takes another tune-up before their fabled clash. That's if we can see Tyson Fury again. He's already in the high rankings for championship opportunities, even though he retired and came back. So he could be in position to, get that fight for the third fight without having to fight anybody else except for Makhmudov. But we'll see how that goes. Regardless of which, that's the trajectory. And again, he confirmed those are the last 3 fights that he will be planning on having for his career. Now, I hate the fact that Rico is one of them, even though I am all down for somebody like Usyk getting an easy fight on their card. It still shouldn't be in a world championship opportunity. It should not be Rico. Even though Rico Verhoeven is one of the greatest kickboxers that we have seen in glory history. No disrespect there. He's a killer in every sense of the word, but he is nowhere close and nowhere should be responsible for getting a shot at a title in a world championship boxing setting. He should not be. Even Tyson Fury couldn't fight Ngannou for the world championship. The belt wasn't on the line. The lineal championship is, because it's always on the line. But in a sanctioned fight, it shouldn't be this. At least to me. Like I said before, it should have been, if you're going to fight this, you should have just went and fought Wilder. Take out the 4 kings and get out the way. If you're going to fight, either way. That's the trajectory. Rico counts as one of those 3 fights. So again, it's Rico, Wardley, or Dubois. And then Tyson Fury ultimately ended is the goal and trajectory of Usyk. And they're the final reigns of his career. If he goes undefeated, mind you, even beating Tyson Fury a 3rd time with Dubois and or Wardley. Ultimately, if he fought Wardley and knocked him out as well, it will be a young star, all of the old guard, and all of the other reputable competition. Usyk would have cleaned out in a perfect sweep of careers. My goodness, that would be incredible. But we'll find out how that goes through. But either way, that is his current lineage of talent that he's trying to fight, and we'll see how it goes. And if he can actually go and make it happen, and make it so that he will be able to go and conquer the world one more time. We're going to find out. But either way, even more stuff involving the world of boxing. We got more conversation involving Devin Haney and which fight was it? Not Devin Haney, I'm sorry. Lamont Roach, Pitbull Cruz. Going back to that conversation of which fight would be bigger. Lamont Roach's father has something to say in regards to that, and he says exactly why the fight with Lamont would be bigger than the fight with Isaac Cruz when, not if, but when that fight ultimately does happen. Now I'll let him play it. I'll let him say it in his own words, and we can react accordingly. Trying to make sure y'all can see it real quick, just to be on. Okay, y'all can see it. Here we go. Let me play it for you all right now.
That's not gonna make a difference in him and Pitbull and Tank versus a Pitbull and Roach. Everybody want to see the Roach versus Tank, Tank versus Roach too. You know, everybody want to see that. You know, versus a Pitbull, Tank too. And the crowd gonna sell out, regardless. And I don't think Pitbull is not a pay-per-view draw.
Exactly.
He's not. You know, he's not.
He's not.
No, he's not. So, you know, he's
what about with Tank?
Fans.
If he's with Tank, is he still a pay-per-view draw like they did before?
No. I think it's
they were pay-per-view before.
I think the Pitbull, I think we outsell them. Roach Tank, let's outsell a Pitbull Tank.
So do you
I don't think nobody want to see it. See, I don't think real boxing fans don't want to see that fight.
And so, again, this is a sentiment that, mind you, he is the dad of Lamont Roach, so be clear. There's a little bit of bias, maybe, on the topic, but the themes of what he said, like I said at the start of the show, again, going back to conversation, is still bleeding through and somewhat overlapping. Real boxing fans seem to say, this ain't all that. People saying, we'll just buy the fight, or Fire Stick, hey, Fire Stick, we got our stuff. We're going to go and pirate the King. Oh, yes, indeed. On the 7 seas is what we will be sailing across the interwebs, pirating the fight. Hey, look. Hey, I got my eye patch and hat ready for me, and I got a peg leg as a prop that I will bring out if we do go that route. But the sentiment is, it just won't sell. And it won't sell as good the second time as it did the first time. And there's some validity to that. And here's why. Well, Pitbull got made into a fan favorite. Yes, he did. And as a star, he got made into a star. In part because of Tank. That was Pitbull's coming out party. That's what got him to flourish and shine. That's what got him the respect. Which I'm glad. Since then, however, he hasn't been his own star. He's been on a bunch of cards, and he is a fan favorite. Yeah, he hasn't headlined, even when he was fighting for a champion. Even when he was fighting for a championship. Like when he fought against Roller, he didn't headline. When he lost his title, didn't headline. He's been a co-main event, a third fight, a great fight to get people invested and get people excited. Yes. But as a main event, no. It's not the same caliber. And even with Tank the second time, it's going to sell because it's Tank. And him versus Tank will always generate good revenue. But it won't be the same high tier of, oh my gosh, hey, shock and awe. Especially because the rematch took so long. Yeah, the luster, like I said earlier, has gone. So there is some truth to that. That yeah, this fight might not be bigger than the first fight. And that the rematch with Lamont, yeah, that would be the big fight. But let me see. Von Greener, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. We are so happy that you're here with us on today. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything involving the world of boxing and beyond. Absolutely. Let me see. I wonder what weight class Floyd and Pacquiao were going to fight. And will they even be in the rankings? Well, Pacquiao was already ranked. Be clear. Understand, Pacquiao was already ranked. After his fight with Mario Barrios, he was ranked in the top 10. I believe he was ranked at number 9 in the division at 147. Now, they could fight at 147, but at the same breath, Pacquiao is a smaller fighter than Floyd Mayweather naturally, even physically. Floyd Mayweather has fought at a catchweight at 150-something before against the likes of Canelo Alvarez. That was, I believe it was the highest weight he's come into a fight professionally. What did we talk about with maturity earlier in the show? If you might not have been there, we talked about maturity and age earlier in the show with Tank as one of the reasons why he might be fighting at 140 now is because he can't make 135 in the same way anymore. Or also because most of the stars there left to go up to 140 and above. So, got to go fight it. But one of those two could be true. But the maturity conversation may apply to Floyd as well. His body may not be able to make 147 anymore. It may not. It may not. Even with as hard as he can train. Even with him fighting 3 times a year. It may not be able to make 147 in the same comfortable way. It may. But it may not. And that could hinder or diminish the reaction time and defensive ability that we know he's had throughout his entire career. Pacquiao fighting up at 154, I don't know if he can or if he should. But I do know I'm more confident in the current liaison of talent level that Pacquiao's at because of the fact that I've seen him at the level before. And I don't know how much we've seen get taken out of Manny Pacquiao. Or I don't know how much we've seen getting taken out of Floyd Mayweather than we've seen the evidence of when we saw Manny Pacquiao fight. That's what makes this fight so interesting. And also Manny Pacquiao, per the Transnational Boxing Ranking Board, he's ranked number 3. On other rankings, ranked number 5, maybe number 8. But he's within the conversation of Stanley, Stanionis, Abel Ramos. He's there. Mario Barrios, he's wherever you have Mario Barrios, because he was a champion, he got beat. If you bump him down, however far, Pacquiao's about right there. You can put him there, fine. Many people felt that he should have beat Barrios, so you can potentially put him above if you feel that he had a better performance. But that's about where he's ranked. Floyd If it's at 147, I don't think he'll be ranked in the top 10. He better not be. He better not be because he hasn't done anything up there. He better not be ranked up there because he hasn't done anything. That's not me throwing shade. He literally has not done anything. That's like me saying Errol Spence should be top 10 right now. Coming in and debuting at 154 when that's a bold-faced lie if you believe it. Because he hasn't done anything. And he's been out in the ring for over 800 days. 3 years. That would be a ludicrous sentiment. And the same thing applies to Floyd. I doubt Floyd will be ranked. I doubt it. If he is ranked, I'll be shocked. You know what? I won't be shocked. I'll be upset. That's what I'll be. I'll be upset. I'll be mad. I will be livid if he gets ranked. I'll be livid if he gets ranked. You can't even compare the type of competition and exhibitions in their retirement leading into this comeback. Understand who Pacquiao was fighting versus who Floyd's been fighting ever since he left the sport. It's like, this is not me saying who's going to win or lose. This is me simply saying Floyd should not be ranked coming back into boxing immediately. He should not be. He should not be. If he beats Pacquiao and gets ranked, then fine. Why? Because he beat somebody who was at least top 10 in the world of welterweight. I'm cool with that. With how most of the rankings have Manny Pacquiao ranked at this point in time. Either he's just outside the top 10 or he's top 8. He beats him, fine, cool, put him there. And then have him fight Devin Haney. Or have him fight Ryan Garcia. I love that. I'd love that. This is the biggest thing. Not to be the dead horse not to be the dead horse with Floyd Mayweather. Because again, we got some new people in the chat and we got new people listening to the show. Hi, how you doing? It's the Welch Report. I'm John Luke Welch. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Hopefully you're being entertained. I bid you adieu. How you doing? But if you didn't know Floyd Mayweather's coming back, and if you didn't know, he's fighting Manny Pacquiao. If he does beat Pacquiao, I don't want to see Floyd just do a one-off. I'm going to be completely honest. Just like with Pacquiao drawing, even though he should have beaten Barrios, I don't want to see Pacquiao just fight one time and then dip off into the sunset. If you're actually able to still be competitive, I will see him try to fight again. See if we can push the hands of time back one more day, one more year, and get another championship under his belt. My gosh, in the modern day, it'd be incredible. It's not often you get about 5 chances to see. It's not often you get this many people, this old, coming back and being able to actually be competitive. Again, mind you, George Foreman did this and Bernard Hopkins did this, and we thought it was ludicrous then. To even be able to compete at this high of a level, at that age, let alone win multiple championships. Foreman becoming the oldest champion ever at 45, excuse me. Before that, it was the old Mongoose at Archie Moore, about 38, 39 years old. And then you had Crawford beating Canelo at 38. Then before that, you had the person who beat George Foreman's oldest record, Bernard Hopkins, who won it at 46 and then won another belt and unified, I believe, at 49. We don't get to see that often. Once in a blue moon. I want to see if they can do it for real against everybody else. Imagine the dream matchups. Devin Haney versus Floyd Mayweather. Ryan Garcia versus Floyd Mayweather. Shoot, Keyshawn Davis versus Floyd. Wouldn't that be something? Gervonta Davis moving up, somehow getting to 147, fighting his mentor, or fighting Manny Pacquiao. Terrence Crawford saying, yeah, I'll come fight at 154 to fight Floyd Mayweather. If Jeff Horn didn't get the robbery of the century and beat Manny Pacquiao, when that fight was clearly Pacquiao won him and dominated that fight. All Horn was doing was headbutting and dirty boxing, but it wasn't. Pacquiao was the one that rocked him, hurt him, cut him up, made him all that stuff, did everything under the sun, and he still got that loss. it was going to be Crawford versus Pacquiao. If Pacquiao had won against Jeff Horn and not gotten robbed, run that back now at this point. Hey, if we see Pacquiao get a belt, I got you. Anything is possible. Anything. Make it happen. Pacquiao versus Isaac Cruz at 140. If Isaac Cruz moved up, oh my. There's a lot of potential, just fantasy fair, or rather fantasy warfare, that it may not seem like a valid point of emphasis that we can see the fights happen, but I wouldn't be mad at it if it did. At least that's me. At least that's me. I wouldn't be upset, but even still, that's why I want to see them after this not just fight each other, but winner potentially goes and tests their mettle against the others at this division, specifically Floyd. Because if there's somebody that can bring in some big revenue every single fight, if he kept on coming back, he would be Floyd Mayweather, because that undefeated record still is the legacy and lineage. It's the biggest risk, but it's also the biggest reward, because everything about Floyd has been built off of, I am undefeated. I'm the guy who never lost. Nobody from any era can beat me. I'm the greatest ever. I'm the best ever. TBE. You got a chance to prove it now more than ever. If that is true. And beating cross-era competition. Got a chance. If you choose to take it. Okay, that's me. If you choose to take it. You got a shot at making that claim valid in a way that has never been more valid before. And that happens, oh boy. Very exciting to say the least, at least for me. At least in my humble opinion. Very exciting to say the least. I would be very interested in seeing from my personal perspective. But even still, we want to hear your thoughts and opinions and everything going on in the world of boxing. Let me see. Yo, Digital Punch, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in to the show. What's going on with you? Who we talking about? So we got a multiplicity of topics. Right now, we're in the championship rounds. And the championship rounds, everybody can talk about anything under the sun. Whatever topics of discussion you want to have for the next 15 to 30 minutes, we can talk about here on this show. We had covered Devin Haney and talk against Shakur Stevenson, their individual performances, and why Devin Haney only sits on a lead and doesn't go out and try to take a win, and he fights too defensively, and it's going to bite him in the butt in the future. We've talked about Shakur Stevenson and his own fighting style and what separates him from the rest of the boxing world. We've talked about Tank Davis fighting Isaac Cruz. Do you think that Isaac Cruz versus Tank is a bigger fight than Tank versus Lamont Roach as a potential rematch between both of them? As we got news from Mike Coppinger that serious talks are now building up with Tank Davis going in and fighting Isaac Cruz at 140 pounds, moving up. With Tank moving up to 140, hey, what do you want to see him be able to do? Who do you want to see him be able to fight? What type of competition do you think we can see him go through after we get this Isaac Cruz rematch? Will it be the Lamont Roach rematch? Will it be potentially a fight against Teofimo Lopez? Will he go after a belt like against Dalton Smith at 140 or Gary Antoine Russell at 140? Will he go all those stuff? I want to see how it goes. And I want to see exactly everything in response. And I want to hear from you in your regards to it all. And so, hey, we're having fun. We're excited with it. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions on that or whatever you want to discuss, because you all drive the ship and drive the show for the last about half hour of this show. No question about it. So let's see your thoughts and opinions right here, right now. And so let me see. It's Devo Dev. And here's the thing. Devo Dev, this was actually one of the biggest things that we talked about earlier in the show. Devin Haney, for those of you who were here earlier, you heard this already, but it's a great point to re-bring up because it brings up a different light of conversation. Devo Dev is a moniker that Devin Haney can't live up to, strictly because Devin Haney doesn't think like Devo Dev. Devo Devin Haney is supposed to be buddy that's supposed to just bully people, can get him out of there, can still box phenomenally, but can put a hurt on him. And end or at least work you in the show and make you really question, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be in the ring with this guy. Do more damage than he's been doing. Not saying he doesn't have to get a knockout, but the appearance, or rather the production of dominance should fit the name. The monster, Naoya Inoue. It speaks for itself what he's able to do. David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, speaks for itself what he's able to do. I'm not going to both of them have monsters, but you get what I'm saying. Devin Haney, that the nickname that he himself has even started to moniker as his own, it doesn't fit how he fights because it's not who he is. Though he can be more of the destructive Debo Dev that we all say it is there. He does have power. He does have pop. He does have the ability to hurt you. He's got a great jab that can both sting you and cut you up and bludgeon you. He's got size to be able to go and control you in the clinch. He doesn't need just the clinch to survive or to stifle momentum. He can control people. He could do a whole lot more offensively. But his makeup as a fighter doesn't let him. It doesn't let him. It's not how he fights. And so that moniker goes on. He talks stuff that he doesn't back up. Because what he says, and again, even when he knocked down Brian Norman, he could have knocked him out. He could have knocked out Reach Progress. But he didn't. That's the problem. That's the problem. And he doesn't own up to that. That's what frustrates a lot of people. We said earlier, at least Floyd Mayweather bought into, you can't touch me and you can't beat me. At least Floyd bought into, you can't touch me and you can't beat me. Devin Haney's walking around with a sentiment of, I'm this destructive force, but that's not his identity as a fighter. Though you have the capacity to be that destructive force you talk about. In many ways, you don't live up to that on the consistent basis that you say that you can. Because you take your foot off the gas. Because you're trying to sit on the win instead of, again, what did we say earlier? Build on the lead. There's a difference. Let me see. Devin Haney and his fans ruined boxing. Also, Tay, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show, Tay. We're so happy that you're here. I wouldn't say that he ruined boxing. I wouldn't say that he didn't ruin the sport. But the reason why people don't like him, beyond just the fighting style, is because they see that there is more to his game that he can do. People call him a boring fighter. Some, yes, because they just see technical ability as it's not fun. That's them. But most, it's because of the fact that we laud the technique, but we understand you can do a more destructive job if you so chose. But again, because you don't want to risk the stuff, you don't do all the stuff that you can do. Your best performances with Lomachenko and Prograis when in the first half of Haney versus Norman when you knocked him down and you hurt him. Because like I said, you could have gotten him out of it. But you went and said, I'm going to sit on a lead instead of building on the production. Shakur Stevenson, like we compared earlier, was able to build on his lead. Even when he had Teofimo Lopez dead to rights. And even though we didn't knock him out, we aren't having the same complaints about Shakur. Though we didn't knock him out. Why? Because we saw this man did not just sit on the win that he had in the bag. He continued to keep a baseline of dominance that wasn't just, oh, you can't touch me. He kept on countering Tio. He opened up his volume as the fight got more on his favor. He threw more heavy leather. You saw the further deterioration of Tio and his confidence, even as the fight got later and later, because he did not wane in just saying, I'm going to let you try to get back because you're too far gone. A complete shutout outside of one round that Shakur took a break from. Outside of Brian Norman having success later on, when you clearly could have done the same stuff and never let him even get close to you. And even if you did get close, you had enough pop and you got the ability that you could have fought your way out and still put him in trouble. Yet, clinch and hold. It's not about me. I'm not trying to speak negative against Devin Haney. I'm trying to paint a picture as to why the public has this negative view about him. And they're valid in some regard. It's not because he's technical. It's not because Devin Haney's defensive that people don't like him. It's not because he quote unquote can't punch in a lot of people's eyes, even though he disproved that sentiment with the Brian Norman fight. It's none of those reasons. It's strictly because what we saw with Shakur, we could have been seeing with Devin Haney. And what we saw with Devin Haney, we saw Devin Haney do that stuff before the fight with Brian Norman, before the fight with Ryan Garcia. And now he has further reclused from that initiative of building on a lead. And even back then, he did still sit on leads, but it wasn't nearly this much of a clinch and hold type of fest. Though you can bring up Kambosos. He kept clinching and holding on Kambosos. But even against Kambosos, guess what he was always doing? Actively popping that jab. Consistently countering him, even with the one weapon. Kept on cutting his face up and popping him. Kept on moving. He kept on boxing like Devin Haney. We saw, at least in some respects, the real Devin Haney in those previous fights of a technical savant that is longer than you, got quick hands, is deceptively big for the divisions that he's in, and he's a technician through and through. And doesn't need all those other offensive weapons. He can just use one and continue to pop you, score you, jab you through your block, jab you to the body, turn you around, all that stuff. You could argue the clinching was bad, but at least the offense was more deliberate and focused. Even more so, it was more concrete. I'm going to use my offense to keep my stuff going. Even in those other performances. That's the thing. That's my issue. At least it's my issue. And so with Devin, he got back to that. If he even had a performance like he did with Prograis against Brian Norman, where it was just you didn't wane nearly as much in your fervor to continue to continue to take the win from your opponent, even after you already got in the bag, we may have this conversation. But that's the biggest issue, at least from my perspective. Let me see. Did you he ain't afraid to fight nobody. Now, I ain't say that. No, be clear. Be clear. Rowley said that Devin Haney may be afraid to fight Ryan Garcia. I've been on this channel multiple times saying he may not want to get hit, but he ain't scared to get in the ring with anybody. He was going to fight Teal. There was even some talk he was going to fight Boots Ennis at 147. He had fought Ryan Garcia. He wanted to fight with Tank Davis. He hasn't ducked any smoke. He became undisputed. He went to Australia twice to fight Kambosos. He's gone. I've never questioned his heart or his willingness to fight. You'll never hear me say that. Because him and Ryan Garcia, both of them, they want to take on every test possible. I have no issue saying that. I can say the style is problematic or the mentality inside the ring is problematic. I'm not going to test whether or not he'll get in the ring with anybody. I know that for a doggone fact. Win, lose, or draw, he'll step in the ring with. But he could have when Ryan Garcia came in overweight at 143. He could have done what De Los Santos did and canceled the fight, and it would have been fully within his right. You're not making weight. I'm not fighting you. That's unfair. He could have done that and would have been fully in his right, and he still took the fight anyway. And he got up from all the knockdowns that Ryan Garcia put on him, and that face swollen, blood going through. He even talked about how his mom fainted in the background because of the damage he was incurring. Oh, it was traumatized, and he still did not quit. I'm never gonna question his heart. He's a dog through and through. You ain't gonna hear me say that. You ain't gonna hear me. You're never gonna hear me not say that. But I can say that and still say there's a problem with the style or the mentality at which he fights, and he could be even more destructive if he went another way. At least in my estimation. Let me see. Devin is not elite in my opinion. Now Tay, I don't know about that. No, wait a minute. No, hold on. I don't know how we can say that he's not elite. I don't know how we can say that he's not elite. When we followed his career. No, you cannot like him. He's not my favorite. He's not my favorite fighter. Be clear. But I had him. He's number 8 on my pound for pound list. He is amongst some of the best in the land. There's nobody I can see beating him at 147 outside of Shakur Stevens. Keyshawn Davis moving up there brings an interesting X factor. But outside of that, I don't see nobody. The biggest test in a complete level of talent doesn't come up until he moves up to 154, where 1 through 10 are a dangerous threat all around. But he cleans up nearly everybody below or at 147 outside of Shakur and maybe Keyshawn Davis, which again looks really good, but still leaning towards Devin Haney would beat him. I don't know if I can't call him not elite. He is elite. He is elite. I gotta say he is elite though. He definitely is elite. Let me see. Why risk it when you're winning? And again, this not to be the dead horse, but we said this earlier. The win is the biggest thing, but it's never the only thing. And that's exactly why that type of mentality is why he doesn't headline even when he's the most accomplished person on the card. And that's exactly why people can use that he is not the A side in conversations with the fight with Ryan Garcia. Because that very mindset has made us continue to say, you are not exciting to watch. You're boring. We're not spending money for you. From the public boxing appeal. Because of this type of mentality. The lack of risk that he takes leads to people saying, oh, you're not giving it your all. Or you're just going to not operate within the risk. You're going to play it oh so safe. And you're going to drop your own production just to make sure that your win doesn't falter. Hey, if they can't beat it, fine. But the fans, it's also their money to invest, and they don't like that. They don't like it. Let's see. Compared to Shakur and Tank, Devin is limited. Devin is limited by his own identity, not by his ability. Shakur and Tank, and somebody brought this up earlier, they fight with the confidence of using everything. Devin Haney, he can fight with the confidence to use everything. And we've seen when he does, he can put on some stuff that keeps people engaged. And is dramatically impressive. But his identity as a fighter holds him back from operating in that regard to consistently keep that high level of operation throughout the whole of a performance. That's the problem. Because his whole mentality, again, is not to take the win every round. It's to keep the win and then be safe. Fighting to get the lead. It's not Devin Haney's MO. It's to keep the lead. And that breeds not just his own individual stylistic issues that the public has as to why they don't like him as much in the ring. But also it can lead to a point where you don't use things in your own tool belt because of the fact that you don't want to risk a loss. We talked about this with Shakur as well. Shakur gets hard to me. Could have knocked him out. Let him live. And he held back because he said, and I quote, if you are fresh, you are dangerous. And if you're hurt, that's the most dangerous position you can be in boxing. It's like a rat in the corner. They'll strike back and they can land something and you don't want to risk it. He said that verbatim to defend his stance as to why he fought like he fought. And we said that's wrong then, and we're saying that's wrong now. Because if everybody's dangerous at all times, you can't risk anything. You can't fight like you want to fight. And everybody definitely in that type of danger. So why are you doing that? And now he's fighting more akin to that identity, thankfully, of the Terrence Crawfords and others, as we mentioned earlier, as mentors. Devin Haney has the capacity to do all that, but he doesn't. He's not limited. He's limiting himself. There is a difference. There is a huge difference. Even his dad limited him when he fought against Jose Ramirez. And when the second half of the fight came through, what happened? The game plan changed when he got caught. And Bill Haney said, keep doing what you're doing. Keep the win. You got the lead. Don't do nothing else. And we saw what everybody's saying. We didn't like that. We didn't. And it's just, it's not me trying to diminish the end goal, but we are not going to overlook how you get to the end goal of winning means a whole lot, if not just as much as winning outright. Because people can tell when there is there's a drop off of you not doing your best. And they don't want to waste their money. I'm talking for the public appeal. This is beyond just people don't like technical boxing or people don't enjoy you going through and they just don't understand the nuances of the sweet science. It's beyond that. They know when somebody is faltering in their effort just to get a win. They don't respect that. Casual and hardcore. They don't like that. We know you're better than that. And we want you to show that on a night-to-night basis. But if you don't, you got to win, fine. But again, this is why you don't headline. Even when you're the most accomplished out there. This is why you're the co-main event when you're defending your championship, like against David, like when you were on the card with Benavidez, or like the card with Ryan Garcia. When Ryan Garcia was fighting Rolly Romero. And you still, as the champ, still was the appetizer. That's where that's where I was looking for, the appetizer. But compare with other people that are at your same vicinity. Other people as stars outshine you. In part, not the only thing, but in part because the public sees them as what they give out to the sport. And their value in the dollar when I'm trying to watch a fight and be entertained. And they pay, get score. After this fight, he can be a main event regardless of who he fights. Why? Because we saw this is worth our time and money. Beyond just the win. That's why we say it's not the only thing. It's a big thing, but it's not the only thing. Let me see. Who you want to see against Debo? I want to see Shakur or Ryan. Biggest of which being Ryan Garcia. Biggest being Ryan Garcia. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing out of everything. That's the biggest thing I want to see. Him versus Ryan Garcia. That's what I want to see. That is the rematch that don't let it go to waste. Do not let that go to waste. Like it happened the first time. Both of y'all are champions. Both of y'all can unify. It's a storyline that we've been building up for almost 2 years. We don't need to waste time taking other fights. It needs to be y'all two. It needs to be. It needs to be. I know Ryan's talking about fighting Shakur or other fights on the docket. It needs to be. Because if it ain't, it's going to be bad. Let me see. Until Tank fights, that's nothing. Until Tank fights at 140, we can't really say anything. We can't. I want to see him at 140. I want to see him be successful at 140. I would love to see him fight Abdullah Mason. I would love to see him fight against the likes of Dalton Smith. I would love to see him against Teal. Shoot, I'd love to see him fight Shakur at 140 if Shakur is willing to come back down. I'd love that. Shakur probably loved that too. Even without a belt. I'd pay for that without a belt. Don't matter. That's one of the 3 biggest fights of the year. That got announced tomorrow. But sadly, until he does it, it won't happen. It won't happen. Boogie, you hear what he do? Luke in and out like a featherweight. In and out like a featherweight slick southpaw. No, hey, look, I appreciate sending me and Teddy Berkshire. How you doing? We're glad that you're here. We appreciate you on the show. Hey, look, I'm orthodox, all right? Now I can switch a little bit. I can switch a little, but I'm more orthodox fighter. I'm more of a the Joe Frazier's, the Ken Nortons, the up close and I'm Roberto Duran. I'm of that type of ilk. Well, I'm not an outside fighter. It's gonna be a lot of head movement, a lot of trying to make you miss. I'm short, so I'm gonna have to do what I gotta do. And power shots, jabbing to the body, trying to score, fainting upstairs, and then boom, landing stuff when you can't see me, making myself hard to hit. But I'm orthodox. I'm gonna tell you that. And I'm working on my stamina, so I got at least 4 good rounds in me. Hey, I got 4 good rounds in me. After that, oh boy, we might have to be taking some breaks like Ryan Garcia. Oh shoot! Oh man, you can call Bill 3 times, see what's showing up. Hey, look, if Bill Haney showed up on this show, hey, I'd be surprised. I'd love it. I love him to come on the show. I got some questions. I got some responses. I love to talk about the demeanor and the capacity of entertainment that he's able to bring to the table. Shoot, I'd love to see him if he would actually take a fight with the likes of Oscar De La Hoya from that time when they were beefing with each other, wanting to get in the ring. Hey, look, I love to schedule that. A trainer versus trainer type of card. Would he get on it? Hey, him versus Brian Norman Sr. would be very interesting. Him versus Oscar De La Hoya would be very interesting. Shoot. If we can make it happen, if Roy Jones ever trains somebody and Bill Haney and them have a fight going up against each other, I would love to see Bill Haney, Roy Jones Jr. step in the ring with each other. Hey, look, I think it'll be Roy Jones whooping him, but even still, just an interesting concept to say the least. I would be interested. I would be very interested. Let me see, you got Daniel Dubois or Ward? That's a good question. Shoot. Hold on, wait a minute. Oh, shoot. I got to think. Whoo! Well, I got to think about that fight. Oh, gosh. That's a hard fight to call. Dang it, man. I don't know who to pick. I don't know who to pick. It's 2 people. It's 2 fighters. They don't move their head. They don't get out the way of shots. They both rely on their chin. Wardley can get gassed after round 7. Daniel Dubois got a way better stamina. But we can see, and we have seen, we can see and we have seen the likes of, what the world? Okay. So I thought I spilled something on the inside of my shirt. But no, we can see and we have seen Wardley knock people out with 1 shot. And look, I see you in chat right now. Daniel Dubois, he quit. He used to be a quitter. Used to be. He's not a quitter anymore. Now, granted, he got knocked out by Usyk in their second time, as well as in the first time. First time, I felt he could have gotten up from that knockdown. Second time, no, he couldn't have gotten up for that. The second time he got knocked out by Usyk, he got knocked out for real, for real. That Ivan left hand hook, that was a shot. That wasn't fake. That brother, he was out, for real out. I'm not gonna fault him for getting knocked out by that. He ain't quitting that fight. And I've been able to say, Dubois, for me, is not a quitter anymore. Because of that road to redemption that he took up until he beat Anthony Joshua and knocked him out for the title. He's not a quitter anymore. but he can get put to sleep. Wardley's been stunned, but nobody's there to put him out. He's there to get hit. And if there was somebody that could put him to sleep with the type of real power, yes, they can do what? But I'm starting to lean towards Dubois. He's gonna get knocked out. I'm starting to lean towards Wardley's gonna win that. I really am. I'm starting to lean. I'm starting to really lean that Wardley's gonna win. Gonna win. I'm serious. I'm really starting to lean that Wardley's gonna win. Hold on a minute. Gotta make sure that the vocals. Gotta make sure that the vocals are there. But yeah, I really think I really think that Dubois is gonna get beat by Wardley. It's close. It's incredibly close. But I do think that he's gonna get beat by Wardley. I do. I believe he'll get beat by Fabio Wardley. Because I think even though Dubois will catch Wardley, Wardley's chin is still good enough at this stage that he will be able to withstand it. Even though it's been checked a lot, he's been able to stand the test of time. And it ain't gonna happen forever. Like I said, Wardley's gonna be here for a good time, but that chin ain't gonna be here for a long time with the way that he's been fighting, and he knows it too. He's even acknowledged it. I'm not the crudest, I'm not the slickest of fighters. I'm here, I can absorb punishment, I can dish it out, and I can fight like a tank, and I'm gonna be a tank. Straight up. He's owning it. So because of that, guess what? Gotta fight like we need to fight. Gotta do what we gotta do. That's the thing. But let me see. And because of that, I do think he's gonna get knocked out. Still inside there somewhere, in terms of the quitting mentality, I don't know. I don't think it's there. I genuinely think if he gets knocked out, he's just gonna get knocked out. But I don't think he's gonna quit. I don't think he's gonna quit anymore. But I do see him getting knocked out. Let me see. I got Daniel Dubois smashing Wardley. Wouldn't be very surprised. I got Daniel Dubois smashing Wardley. Would be very surprised if Wardley pulls it off. Well, I'm telling you this. Don't be surprised, but don't be surprised. Don't be surprised at all. Let me tell you something. Hey, look. That buddy, hey. You want to talk about fear incarnate? Dang, Fabio Wardley from the grave of outright despair. He will bring up a punch that will put you to sleep. He'll bring up a punch, he'll put you to sleep. He will do it. And he will, even when it seems like he should lose, and it does seem like he should lose, he'll pull it out. Somehow, somewhat. Like I said, the UK Deontay Wilder. But even worse, because of the fact that most of the time of his most recent fights since stepping up in competition, he's lost most of the rounds before ultimately getting the victory. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick against him now. It's hard for me to pick against him. With the caliber of fighter that Daniel Dubois is, even though he's a championship level boxer, you just bodes perfectly that Wardley can pull out this upset going up against Daniel Dubois, and it would be an upset. But it wouldn't be a surprise to me. It would not be a surprise to me at all. Let me see. Daniel Dubois is a quitter, but I don't see him in a position where he would quit against the likes of Fabio. No disrespect. And again, I genuinely, I don't see Daniel Dubois as a quitter anymore because didn't we do a whole timeline involving Daniel Dubois and the resurgence of his career? I don't get why the quitter mentality is still in that MO, in that conversation involving. Because of the fact the brother, he could have quit against Jarrell Miller, but he got a second win. he kept eating shots against Hrgovic and stopped him. And if it wasn't the cut, he was going to knock him out. He went through and fought Anthony Joshua and walked towards him as if he was thinking Mike Tyson, wearing all black, hands to his guards and just straight up throwing hooks with like a Terminator. And then when he fought Usyk, he did not back down. And when he got put to sleep, he legit got put to sleep. Like his eyes were glazed over. And he was not getting up from that. And so like I'm not holding that loss against him. Unlike what the losses against Usyk the first time when he fought him. And he did quit, in my opinion, in that first fight. Because he could have gotten up. But he legit could have gotten up from that knockdown. And he didn't. And so I don't see the quitter thing anymore. Let me see. It's because he quit again. I think that's just a difference of opinion. I don't think he quit in that second fight. I think he just got put to sleep. I think he just got put down. He just got rocked straight up with a clean hook off of a trade when both of them were exchanging. Excuse me, it was his right hand because that's his power hand. No, it was his left hand because this is his power hand. Clean hook off in exchange. When both of them were trading in the middle of the ring, his eyes rolled in the back of his head. He was out before he hit the floor, and he gained consciousness while he was down there, and he still didn't know where he was. Like I watched that knockdown multiple times. That buddy, he was gone. He was gone. And so like, I don't hold that against him. Now, if he gets caught with a shot, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you can't get up. And we see you alert. We see you gain enough consciousness that you can at least make an effort, and you don't. Yeah, okay, yeah, he quit. But I didn't see that in that. I saw him get legit put down in that fight with Usyk in the second time. Unlike the first venture against each other. So I can't call him, or I don't call him a quitter. Because he's the only time he got beat since that resurgence and since that Usyk fight won was the second Usyk fight. When he got caught with what was a contender for knockout of the year. He got caught with one of the cleanest hooks we've had in boxing. I'm talking about cinematic level. That looked like something out of Stinking Fight Night. So I'm not mad at that. Me personally, I'm not mad at that. And so I don't hold it against him. And so, but that again, difference of opinion. If you feel I can only state my case. If you feel that way, hey, here's what it is at this point. We hope we don't quit against Fabio Wardley. That's the biggest thing. Regardless of whether you think it's a quitter or not, let's hope he doesn't quit against the likes of Fabio Wardley. Let's hope those tendencies don't bring up again, because he gonna need it. He gonna need it. Because he's gonna get put in trouble. Against Fabio Wardley, he's gonna get put in trouble. He's going to get put in trouble. I don't care if he can win that fight. And I think he can. But I don't care if he can win that fight. He's going to get put in trouble to where he better brace himself. Because going up against Fabio Wardley is not, it's one punch more than just makes a difference. It makes it so they test everything about you. It tests everything about you. And so you gotta bring it. You gotta bring it for real. Because if you don't, yeah, it's gonna be a bad day. Bad day at the office, I guarantee you. But real quick, we're about to hit the 3-hour mark, so we want to make sure we get everybody involved in the conversation. Before we end off the show, so we're gonna do last call on the championship rounds for our auspicious occasion of an event that was Tuesday afternoon whatever you want to talk about. Again, we want to hear from you. Last questions, comments, debates, concerns on anything, whether it's Tank Davis, whether it's Devin Haney, whether it's Ryan Garcia, whether it is Usyk, whether it is anything else involving the boxing world, Inoue versus Nakatani. We can talk about that a little bit if you want to, but whatever you want to discuss or outside of the boxing world with the NBA, with the NFL, all of that and more, we can have you talk about it and be about it right here on this show. Last call for the show to get your questions, comments, concerns, and everything else put in place. Also, again, leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. Just one click makes a world of difference. Tell people about the show. Keep on sharing it. And please go ahead, if you can, support the channel. Hey, Cash App, PayPal, chats or super chats and gifts with that little $sign by the chat box over in the corner or below your screen. If you can support, would mean the world to me. But we're just so glad that you're here for the ride with us. Absolutely. But last call for whatever you want to say or do, whatever you want to talk about, and last discussions on the show. I will do one last check to make sure we see anything else involving the world of boxing. Oh, wait, hold on. We got something with Jai Patai involving the world of the IBF real quick. Let me pull this up and see exactly what he has to say. This is in light of the last things involving IBF stripping him. So let me see if this is the case. This is the first time I've seen this come across my feed. So let me see what Jai Patai had to say involving him still being champ with the IBF? Question mark?
It's a bit frustrating, you know. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and badmouth the IBF. You know, it's not my style to badmouth anyone. But, you know, I really hope they... I got told like about 5 minutes ago, like, as from now, I'm actually not stripped. I don't know if that's correct.
Wow.
Fake news. Man, I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? There's been so much noise going on the outside and stuff like that. But I've just tried to just do my thing. You know, I've respected the belt. I've done everything in my power to keep the belt. You know, I've had it on. I got it on the stage right now. I had it at my weigh-in. I had it everywhere for the press conferences. I abided by their rules. You know, so I'm a little unsure, but I'm really hoping they can just put the nonsense aside. You know, because the beef isn't between me. You know, the beef's not between the fighter. It's the outside that's causing conflict, which is I'm the only one suffering.
And this right here is the exact problem and the danger that I saw with Zuffa when it comes to dealing with boxing. Like I said, and again, this is bigger than just Jai Patai. Mind you, this goes back to even with Shakur Stevenson and talking about his situation. In fact, no, I can actually pull up that clip next as the topic, or to go along with this last topic that we can discuss on the show. But with Shakur Stevenson talking about the IBF, or not IBF, the WBC going through and charging them the money for the belt. I'll play the clip in a little bit, but we're looking at an environment right now that isn't conducive to the very mindset that we say we want boxers to live up to. Legacy over money, because with legacy comes money. Going after the belts, doing your job, and fighting everybody you can to make it so that you live up to your potential as a fighter. Don't duck smoke. Don't make a fuss. Go through and fight everybody you can and be a champion of champions. OPATIA has been trying to do that this entire time. And yet, what he said in that last quote, he's the only one that's suffering between this beef of Eddie Hearn, IBF, Dana White, and Zuffa as a whole, and the rest of the boxing world. And it's not fair. Mind you, he's already paid his sanctioning fees for this. And so it could be that he's not stripped right now. And maybe because he was told before he got on the stage for the press conference after the fight with Glanton, I'm not stripped. Fine. They can still strip him because they just don't want no attachment to the belt. And he now suffers and loses out on a chance with the world global championship appeal. And he's done everything right. Even when it comes to, and again, the issue with it's a bigger issue when it comes to the sport of boxing, because this is the biggest issue. Or rather, that's redundant. This is the biggest dilemma that this one sect of problem has now spotlighted for me and for the rest of the boxing world when you start putting points together. The fighters are suffering from an ecosystem that is built on essentially a rocky foundation. The ecosystem of boxing isn't conducive to be able to let the people go about and be as great as they can be. It's not the fighters' fault, especially since 2023 and all. With all the politicking that we've seen now come to light in public eye, social media, the backstage beef that we see between promoter and promoter, that again, the fighter suffers from. Crawford wasn't able to get the chances to fight Errol Spence earlier, or a lot of other fighters earlier, because of the fact that he was being, in essence, left alone. Benavidez with his belt. Terrence Crawford, even when he won, and the WBC going through and messing up with his whole MO, forced him to pay more than what every other fee from other sanctioning bodies was asking for. Even when it came to Shakur Stevenson with the situation with his own WBC belt, which again I'm about to play right now, to get to, it's another plot point in this whole conversation. Him getting essentially stripped for a belt that he didn't even defend when he got permission to be great and to go after titles like we said we wanted to see him go through. And I'll let him tell the story as he was talking to Carmelo Anthony.
And to retain it before the Tio fight, like how did that happen? Like it didn't really put a damper on the fight, but like just explain from your perspective what went down with that.
Man, those people hit me up for $120,000.
And from your perspective, what went down with that?
Man, those people hit me up for $120,000.
Excuse me? For what?
For
like a fee or something? Or
being, I guess. That man.
Hold on, trying to make sure that we still got. We do have audio. I'm just trying to make sure people can hear it. I apologize.
And just didn't keep his word. I'm gonna tell the truth.
Who didn't keep their word?
The president for the WBC.
Okay.
Before the fight with Tio got made, I called him and we had a conversation. I said, I want to move up, but I want to move back down for the Tio fight.
Mm-hmm.
He agreed. He didn't say nothing about no money, no nothing. After a couple of weeks in, after the fight got announced and stuff, he started emailing about $120,000. Mind you, I already paid $60,000 for keeping my belt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, why the fuck would I pay double now because I'm moving up and you don't have nothing to do with my fight? But after that, we answered to the emails, we asked him, but I really know, like, he started beefing with Bud Crawford.
Right.
And that's when the $120,000 thing kind of came to fruition. So
okay, so for folks who may not be familiar, how does that work? Because like
after that, they go through and discuss kind of the whole identity when it comes to how the fees work and how the belts work and all that stuff. Go watch the podcast. You can see the full situation or the full clip of it all. But all of that, you just heard. Shakur said he wanted to go fight Tio, come back down. They said yes. And then he went and won. Or rather, as the fight got closer. Got all these fees. Went and won. $120,000 you got to pay now. I already paid you $60,000. And you gave me permission, so there was nothing else needed to be said about money. And now you're trying to upcharge me for something you weren't even involved in. And you said I can go be great and go try to test myself and come back. And you already know I was going to come back down and fight for this belt next. And this is the problem. He got done over. He got he essentially got he got the rug pulled from under him. And he went about everything the right way. And he was trying to be great from the standpoint of being a legacy-driven fighter. Fighters today, in this current ecosystem of the sport, do not have the capacity to be great in the same markers as the past, not because their talent can't go and fight, not because there's not names out there to fight, not because there isn't a legacy to make or that there isn't gold to be had around their waist. It's because they're not allowed. Why do you think that Crawford becoming undisputed, the first person in the 4-belt era, was such a big deal? First male in the 4-belt era was such a big deal. Because undisputed is almost impossible to get, not just because the talent is good, but because the politics of boxing make it impossible, even if you want to be great, to be able to go and attempt that goal. You get stonewalled because of other people beefing, or because of greed, or because of a combination of both. In a way, doing it in less than a year. How in the world, forget just the talent to beat everybody, how in the world was he able to do it? From the perspective of how in the world was he able to go through and how the world was able to go through and move like that in a way that nothing else got in the way? I'll book it. It was Jermaine Taylor. No, Jermaine was, oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. I apologize. You're right. Jermaine Taylor was the first to become undisputed. I meant the first 2-time undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. My apologies. Clarissa was the first to do it outright. Crawford did it second. 2-time. I meant 2-time, not 1 time. Jermaine Taylor was the first to become undisputed straight up in the 4-belt. And congratulations to him. Like we said, again, historic, understand. I should have prefaced it. I meant to say, I should have spoke better. 2-time undisputed. Going through this rigmarole of beating the odds of politics and opponents twice to get all the belts in all the competition. That's where, my gosh, how did you beat the system 2 times in a row? Insane. In a way, becoming 2-time undisputed and doing it at that point in less than a year was ridiculous. But it was a further testament as to how in the world did you beat the odds? Canelo becoming 2-time undisputed also. How in the world did he beat the odds? Anybody becoming undisputed, beating the odds of politics and boxing is ridiculous in this current regime, because the whole sport doesn't let you be great, because you get penalized for trying to move and do great stuff immediately. The IBF, even with their strictness of standards as a belt, which we can say is good, but at the same time it's also bad, because they stripped Usyk of the championship right after he got the belt with Fury, knowing there was going to be a rematch. They stripped Terrence Crawford directly after he won the belt against Canelo. Didn't even let him reign. They stripped Terrence Crawford when he beat Spence. Before Canelo. After he beat him. And it was knowing they were supposed to have a rematch. And now with the WBC upcharging Terrence Crawford, upcharging Shakur Stevenson, Jai Abatai, trying to get everybody imaginable just to get his chance at undisputed, thinking he's making the right move by signing with Zuffa, because he has never disgraced the integrity of the sport and his going about it trying to be great. He's never done that. Yet he is now in limbo of he doesn't even know if he's still champion or not. He's been told he still was by the IBF, but that could all be a lie. And it's not fair to him, because he did nothing wrong from the perspective of his only goal with signing with Zuffa: get me undisputed. That's the only reason I'm signing with you, because you seem like you got a structure that can get me the belts that I've been looking for. And I only want the belts. And yet he's being penalized for it. And caught in the crosshairs of an outright war between sanctioning bodies, promoters, and promotions, as well as the stinking the Supreme Courts, even. And it's not even his fault. You can't be great in today's environment of boxing strictly because the sport itself, sadly, is unforgiving. And in this case, in a bad way, because it is still eating itself alive, and the fighters are the people that suffer. The fighters are the people that suffer. Big and small, good and bad. The fighters are the ones that are suffering, and it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair in the slightest. It's not fair. It's not fair in the slightest. It's like, oh gosh. Oh my goodness, man. I'm sorry, but like it ticks me off. It ticks me off because it's not Ja's fault. It's not Shakur's fault. Them and others went about everything exactly how they were supposed to, yet they are being the ones that are penalized for trying to do the very thing that we said this sport should be built off of, which is legacy. And I'm at a loss. I'm just at a loss. Just at a loss. It's a shame. Let me see, Julius, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show. We're so happy that you're here with us on today. We appreciate you coming in on the live. Mr. Watch the Great himself. What's good, brother? Glad I joined this evening. Hey, man, hello. We're just glad you're here. We're at the tail end of this show. We were actually supposed to end this show about at the 3-hour mark, but you know what? We can go a little bit long because we're having a real good discussion. But we appreciate you being along for the ride. Let me see. Zold School, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show. We're so glad that you're here on the stream with us today. Jai is co-signed with Tasman Fighter. Hold on. Jai co-signed with Tasman Fighter, so he's free to fight outside the structure without Zuffa involvement. Maybe so. But the issue still stands. If this is the case that he loses out on the IBF championship, he loses out on the opportunity, or at least one of the other buffers of not just he's still the Ring Magazine champ. Yeah. And I believe lineal. He's still Ring and lineal. But the IBF is another fortified ticket for his ultimate road of him versus Benavidez or him versus Zerto for the undisputed title. But if he loses that, all of a sudden he could get iced out. Again, because sanctioning bodies don't want to play ball with Zuffa, and vice versa. And vice versa. Zuffa doesn't want to play ball with the IBF or sanctioning bodies. That was their structure from the jump. We are above y'all. We're going to make you all irrelevant. Now Dana's changing his tune, saying, yeah, if the fighter wants to work with the other sanctioning bodies, we'll work with them. But at the same breath, guess what? The end goal is to put them out of business. Their in and of itself is a conflict of interest. You say you're going to work with them and the fighter wants to work with them, but your whole goal as a structure is to make them obsolete. And because of that standing that you went and laid into as your most immediate reason why you're creating Zuffa, why you're creating or trying to Zuffa boxing, why Dana White is head of this whole thing, is to put all these other sanctioning bodies to shame. Well, guess what? This type of volatility only creates a level of dissension that, mind you, the fighters suffer because of. And it's just one big problem in a bigger pie of issues. It's one slice of a problem, in a bigger pie of issues. That's what it is. One slice of a problem in a bigger pie of an issue with the sport. All of it equates down to one thing. Fighters cannot be great. Not because they are not great, not because there aren't ways to be great, but because the sport doesn't let them be great without penalizing them for it in some way, shape, or form. In some way. It has never failed. Every single time. And it's a shame. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. Also, yo, what's going on with you? Yo Squared, what's up with you? Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you coming in, and joining on the live. We're glad that you're here. We're having a great discourse and discussion. Hopefully you're enjoying your Tuesday afternoon. Like I said, we're in the championship rounds. This is the last call, quote unquote. We're going a little bit over, but it's because we're having a great conversation. We're trying to edify the people, give you a great afternoon, morning to afternoon type of talk, and hopefully you're enjoying the show, and hopefully you leave a like on the stream and keep on sharing the show with the rest of the globe. We want to hear your talks and responses in the chat, because we're discussing a legitimate issue. The boxers can't be great because the sport keeps on penalizing them. They penalized Shakur. They penalized Terrence Crawford. Now they're penalizing Jai Patai, and Jai Patai ain't done nothing wrong. But yet he's suffering. It's a shame. It really is a shame. Let me see. Julius, the sanctioning bodies belongs to the sanction. Well, look, if they did, they would be, or rather, if they were aligned in that way, guess what? They wouldn't be operating the way that they operate. Greed would not be this much of a structural factor. In fact, it wouldn't even need to be necessary if they were operating in this type of reign under a godly regime, from the standpoint of the principles. Because they wouldn't be money hungry. It wouldn't be trying to extort fighters. And again, this is not just sanctioning bodies. We're talking about the sport as a whole. Promotions, promoters, feuds that make the fighters suffer. Money taken out of the pockets. That, again, while we know some of the uses of these fees, we do not know all of them. And even the fighters that hold the belt, like Errol Spence Jr., like Terrence Crawford, like Shakur Stevenson, like Canelo Alvarez, like Devin Haney, like any of them, don't know where the bulk of this money's going to, outside of VADA testing or testing as a whole. The rest of it, who knows? Nobody's been able to give me a straight answer on the vastness of ways that those fees are used. Not to mention every sanctioning body's been sued in one way, shape, or form for corruption in some regard. And the very structure that Zuffa looks to take over to boxing, like Dana White had over in the UFC, guess what? It's riddled with the risk of, one, your belt isn't even seen as legitimate. Two, the very act that you're trying to put into law to make your belt, quote unquote, legitimate, isn't even gone through and past the courts yet. So you're operating essentially in the conflict of interest as a promoter who is also having its own belt that you're making your own rankings for. That's a problematic issue. And subsequently, Jarrell Miller and others were saying, I got approached by Zuffa. We had a chance to make Zuffa, but when I looked at the contracts, I'm making 30 to 40% less than what I'm making right now with the structure in boxing. And I got family to feed. I can't go down in revenue. It would make no sense to me. And you got fighters saying, hey, I need another fight quick. I got a family to feed. That's a problem. There's a bunch of circling issues that are all conflicting with each other, that all have one thing in common. Whatever decision goes down affects the boxer themselves. And it's like, This was, and again, a little bit of a rant, but this was my fear in regards to Zuffa getting into the sport. Of everything else we talked about, this was the biggest fear. With this infighting in boxing, ultimately, while all these, with all due respect, it's a very bad timing to say this type of phrase because of the current war in Iran going about, which again, it's horrible, it's terrible. But with all of these missiles being thrown at each other, with no disrespect to what's going on in the actual real world, But it's the best. This is the best imagery I can use. With all these missiles being thrown at each other, with each sect of boxing entity trying to gain power, the only people that are suffering are the civilians in this regard. And the civilians are the very essence of why all these other entities exist, which is the boxers. And it's already hard enough to navigate this sport, the ins and outs, just getting to a point where you can make a consistent monetary revenue without having to work a second or third job. Not to mention the life-changing things that can happen with one punch can end your life, let alone end your career. With everything going on, that's a risk, threat, and or assessment of danger. We don't need them having any more problems that aren't even of their own making. Especially trying to walk the right path of what legacy is supposed to be in boxing. Yet, this is where we are. And it's just, it's a very disheartening thing. And I don't know how this is going to end. But I do know, to quote Michael Jackson, there's going to be blood on the dance floor. There's going to be blood on the dance floor. This is not going to be pretty. Because the UFC, TKO, all sanctioning bodies, all other promoters, PBC, Top Rank, Matchroom, Quisenberry, and the promotions and promoters involved, Turkey Al Sheikh as well. All of this is a cauldron for a violent war that is just getting started. That this is going to change in some degree the landscape of how boxing is going to be viewed, or at least how it's going to work. Even if everything looks like it's going to be the same, it's not going to be the same. This could be better, this could be worse, but there's going to be some collateral damage. There's going to be some collateral damage that people are going to say, man, it did not have to be this way. I don't want that to be the case. I'm just telling you what it looks like from the optics. It did not have to be. It can get to a point where it did not have to be this way, but it may. It may. And I don't want that. Forget because I just don't want the drama. The biggest thing for me is the fighters. Without them, there is no sport. And already we've seen this sport as just getting a resurgence, but it has dropped off immensely from what it used to be from the standpoint of the popularity and the eyes of the globe. Athletes from all over looking to become fighters. As times have changed, it's natural. At the same breath, this can further dissuade. Because the one thing nobody wants is danger and chaos. Right now, it's only been 3 events. It's only been 3 Zuffa events. They've just signed 2 stars. That's it. And already, we're getting this type of volatility everywhere. We're getting this type of uncertainty everywhere. People don't want to deal with that. Younger athletes don't want to deal with that. Fans don't even want to deal with that. We're already confused as it is when it comes to looking at the sport as a whole. I'm still learning stuff about this sport. Mind you, I'm young. It may look like I know what I'm talking about. Lord willing, you think I do. Lord willing, you think I do. Lord willing, hopefully you see me as, okay, I'm a pretty decent, reputable source of entertainment and maybe expertise, at least some opinions that you can say, hey, you know what? He at least knows what he's talking about. Yeah, he's a voice. Let me at least get that. Let me at least get to that. Let me at least get to that threshold. He's a voice. He may not be great. He may not be good, but he's there. I can't deny that he's there. That if I can get there, I know I'm moving up. That's all I'm asking for. As I'm trying to build my career, which hopefully you'll keep on telling people, hey, this guy's pretty good. Hopefully, but still, but even with what I know, I don't know anything compared to others. And even they are still like, this sport is a mess. We've already dealt with that and dealing with that now. We don't need more coming in and making it even more shuffled up and confused for the fighters and the public to see what the world's going on. That's just a shame. And with all the momentum that we just built up from 2023 to now, which I'm not going to lie, from what I know about boxing, this has been some of the best consistent work from an entertainment standpoint that we've seen in boxing in about a decade. Accolades, championships, records broken, mega fights. Junto Nakatani versus Inoue is happening. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, it did happen. Tank versus Ryan Garcia, it happened. Benavidez moving up and getting ready to fight Zerto. Benavidez moving up to light heavyweight, which we said should have happened before. It happened. Canelo versus Crawford. Canelo versus Spence. Not Canelo. Crawford versus Spence. Excuse me. We had undisputed left, right, and center. Bivol versus Beterbiev twice. Tyson Fury versus Usyk twice. We had an abundance of things going on. And it was beautiful. That's just some of the stuff. That's not to mention Tia versus Shakur. It started off the year. We've had so much great progress. We've had so much great concrete work and excitement. Big fights, good fights, great matchmaking, fights that were actually happening on time. People getting privy to who's champion of what. A consistency and a relevancy started to build up. Boxing's on Netflix. Boxing's still on top rank, even though I think they're getting ready to find somebody to actually show their stuff with. We the publicity abounding. Even with Jake Paul, and I hate Jake Paul. Even he got the first all-women's card in a big-time card. A huge card for all-women's boxing. It was phenomenal. Women's boxing came up. Even without Jake Paul, everything was looking great. We just don't need another, with all this rolling momentum of good quality affairs, we don't need something coming in and potentially mudding it up. That's what we can have right now. Man, it's a shame. I hope it's not the case, but man, we just keep a real eye on it, because it can get dangerous. It can get dangerous really, really quickly. It can get dangerous really quickly. But that's my little rant. That's all I had to say on it. If you agree, great. If you don't, completely understand. I just had to get that off my chest before we get on out of here. But it is 3 hours. Good gosh, 3 hours, 30 minutes. We got to go. We got to leave this show. We got to get done with this. We got to get out of here. We have been spending so much time. It's been a great time talking with you all. We got to end this show. We got to end it with the bang. And we got to have some fun. We got to get ready for Thursday and Friday afternoon. We're going to take one more question, because we got one more person in the chat before we get on out of here. Do you think if Tank comes, he'll be the same KO? Do you think if Tank comes big, he'll be the same KO specialist at 140 pounds? Now, see, that's a good conversation. I want to say that for tomorrow. Shoot. I want to say that for tomorrow. That's a really good conversation. I might, hey, Julius, we might say that for tomorrow. That's, shoot. That's a really good, hey man, that's good. That's a good topic. Oh shoot, okay. I'm gonna give you a short answer. And in fact, let me type this down right now. Let me. I'm gonna give you a short answer, and then I'm gonna say Tank a KO artist at 140 still. I'm gonna have to, that's I know what that's gonna be a topic for tomorrow. I'm gonna give you the short answer. I put that down in my notes. We're gonna have that for tomorrow. But the short answer, I think yes. But the power being the same and you being as destructive are not the same thing. Case in point, Nakatani Hernandez. The power did not change, but the durability did. He still has the knockout power, but it's got to land even more in pinpoint spots because of where he's fighting. Again, he knocked out Frank Martin. Frank Martin's at 140. We saw Frank Martin get wobbled by Albright. Understand him. I'm not saying you still can't knock people out, but there is a better line of demarcation now. Where more abundantly in this division, there is more people than you may think and than we may think that can have that same tenure. Or not tenure, excuse me. There's more people than you may realize and then that the public may realize that the very same thing that Lamont Roach said about Tank Davis, they may feel that same way when they face off against his power in their own right. And that he's too small when dealing with his punching ability may be more true than we may realize from the perspective of the public boxing eye when looking at the competition up and down at 140. That doesn't mean he still can't knock people out. Be clear. That does mean that there is the tenure of your skill set, or rather, let's say the phrase like it's supposed to be said, skills paying the bills. It's going to be a little bit more fervently needed now for Tank. It is. Because there's a lot more hard-headed people up there than we may want to give credit for. That knowing Tank can still carry that same power, the durability up here is more pronounced. And so, everybody up there, they've been dealing with big punchers that at least are relevantly around the same power threshold as Tank. Even if you want to say Tank is a better puncher, fine. There's more people up there that can punch like Tank than there are people that can't punch like Tank. That wasn't the case at 135. There were less people that could punch like Tank than there were that couldn't punch like Tank. But now that playing field shrunk a little bit. All of a sudden, it's a lot more. That Venn diagram is a lot more overlapping than we may realize of the carrying power across this division and what people are used to. So, be mindful. It may not be. Tank isn't going to get worse as a puncher, but the chins of the opponents may be better than he realizes. And Lamont Roach being able to withstand that may be an outlier. Or may not be an outlier, excuse me, for the rest of the division. May. Not concretely, but it may. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that on Thursday. That's a very good topic. That's a very good topic of discussion. That's a very good topic of discussion. And you're right, yeah, the mentality, they have to land it. It's got to be different. Because there's going to be more people that will say, I can sit in the pocket with Tank. And you got to take the power as well as dish it out. And mentally, you said you don't want to get exposed. Not saying you're scared to fight, but the lapse of what you had against Lamont Roach did not go unseen by the public, regardless of what your talent said. When the going got tough, you took a knee. And you said in the ring, they're not going to give it to you. No matter how good you fought, you relied on the judges and your reputation to give you that win, and it didn't work then. Your skills did not pay the bills that night. And now they got to do it where everybody is at or better than the Lamont Roach level. I'm telling you this right now. It can get sketchy up there. Be mindful. It can get sketchy. Oh, it can get very sketchy. But it can get dangerous. It can get dangerous up there. But we're going to talk about that on Thursday afternoon, because we got to get out of here and we got to end this show. So with all of that being said, wrong button, hold on. There we go. This has been another episode of The Watchable with me, your host, Jean-Luc Watch. We appreciate all of you tuning in to the show. Hey, you got your notifications set. Can't wait to see you. Goodbye till next time. Hey, look, salute to you all. Thank you for tuning in. Set your notification. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel so you know, so you're able to be a part of this empire. Come join the hottest show in all of the globe right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable. Rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a like on the stream before you get out of here. Also, after this stream ends, hit the hype button on the video once we end off the stream, because it helps out immensely. Apparently it helps out for people to go through and to push the show out even further. So hey, use up all your hypes and click it and help us to go and explode on the scene as a top branded podcast. And we appreciate all of you tuning in. Thank you to everybody who tuned into the show and chatted. Y'all were wonderful. Y'all were beautiful. Y'all were incredible. Thank you to everybody who just sat and watched around and listened. It was incredible to have you along for the ride. We're going to be back on Thursday. Talk about more boxing and beyond. All for your viewing and listening pleasure. Top 5 chatters for the show. Number 5 was Teddy Berkshire. Number 4 was Frankie Z. Number 3 was Julius. Number 2 was Tay. And number 1 was Burr. The Burr was the number 1 chatter for our stream today. Can you keep your title as the pound-for-pound best chatter on the stream per YouTube? Can you keep that coming in Thursday? Come back and we'll find out if you can keep your lineal championship around your waist. But we appreciate all of you tuning in. We appreciate you all listening. If you can support the channel, one last shameless plug. We got Cash App and PayPal links down below, as well as super chats and super gifts in the chat. I believe the $ by the chat box area on the side or below your screen. If you can support, it would mean the world to me. Helps me to pay the bills. It helps me to go through and make the show bigger and better, all for your viewing and listening pleasure. But I've been Jean-Luc Watch. You all have been absolutely wonderful. Peace and love. Oh, we are out of here. Yes, sir. We are going to see you all on Thursday. Be safe. Be blessed. Salute to you. Once again, peace and love. And we out of here.